Oh, reopen this. Oops. The four rescue unit members led by Erie, were hiding in a bush next to the clinic. Let's go. The security camera on this side of the clinic is broken, so it's safe. Unless they replaced it in the past few hours. You want to attack from this side? Are you sure? Our enemy is completely dependent on the security system, so it should be alright. Okay, let's go then. Should we head along the wall to the back of the director's office? Yes. I didn't close the window when I left, so it should still be open. When you go in through the window, there's a back door and a security camera, as well as the security room for the first floor. There should be 2 guards in there. The entrance to the basement is being observed by a security camera, so they'll find us right away. Okay, then we have to take those 2 guards down on the first floor, right? It's a basic rule to secure an escape route. We'll go in through the office, and then to the security room on the first floor. They moved forward, walking against the wall so that they'd remain in the blind spot of the security cameras. They soon reached the window of the director's office. If any village kids saw them, they'd assume they were playing around, pretending to be spies. Ari was glad that the clinic was closed on Sundays. Ari peeked into the room. It was exactly the same as how he left it. The window was open, too. The 4 of them snuck into the room through that window. Akasaka put his ear against the door to the hallway. Then he signaled the others to let them know that there was nobody on the other side. Since the clinic was closed, the mountain dogs were the only people around. It being Sunday really was fortunate. It was very quiet in the clinic. The chorus of the cicadas was the only thing that could be heard. It only took me like 6 chapters to read that properly, so how many more for route? There was a clock on the director's desk. It was almost 11:30 a.m. Shion was surprised to find herself getting hungry, given all that was going on. Yeah, how dare you be an animal? You're human. Kasai and Akasaka checked over their weapons. Eri brought out a book of blueprints from a locked bookcase. The title said Construction Plan for the Eri Clinic. This is the director's office. This is the security room for the first floor. It's right next to the office. These red marks are the security cameras. The security room on the first floor shouldn't be a problem at all. The basement will be a lot more difficult. This is the underground research section. This is the entrance to it here. It appears as a stairwell to the second floor on the blueprint we gave to the irregular workers, but there's actually an entrance to the basement hidden there. And this is the staircase to the basement. That's quite the basement. It's actually bigger than the section above ground. That proves the basement contains the real identity of this clinic. And this is the door that requires Coach's security access card to open, huh? Is it possible for them to revoke your access card? Is there a way to break through the door, just in case we can't use it? It's a strong door. When destroying all the evidence, we're supposed to shut the door and pump water into the place. So it's an airproof door, huh? If it can endure that much water pressure, it must be strong. So there must be no other way in other than by using the access card. It's possible to block individual cards, but the access cards that Takano-san and I have are special ones for commissioned officers. These special cards require an 8-digit password set by the owner, so in practice, they can't block my card. In other words, they don't expect commissioned officers to use them with ill intent, right? But if that doesn't work, we'll have the guards in the security room on the first floor open it. Their cards should work fine. I doubt they'll let us use their cards, though. If they don't want to help, all we need is a card and a finger, right? I'd rather not do that. Let's just hope my card works. Where's the security room for the basement? It's located right next to the door. That room has air conditioning and a TV, so basically it's where all the security guards end up gathering. After we take down 2 guards on the first floor, there should be 6 left. 6 guards, huh? Then we'll have to get them all at once. If we don't, they'll set off an alarm. Unless we can cut the wires for it? I'm not sure where, but they must have both reserve power and reserve wiring. And that's a no-go. It'd be more realistic to take out everyone in the security room. Are the guards armed? The guards on the first floor aren't armed, but I've heard they keep guns in the security room just in case. All the security guards in the basement have guns, though. I think they have more powerful guns in their security room, too. Since those guns are for indoor use, I bet they use machine guns of a lower caliber. They won't be accurate when used at a long range, but they're extremely powerful and dangerous when used in close quarters. They had an MP5 earlier. It won't be good for us if they have several more of those. But if we can take them out, the basement is ours. Coach, where's Satsuki-kun? I'd rather not move him. But we can't leave him in the enemy's hands either. Let's move him somewhere safe. I need to be with him too. Which room is Satsuki-kun in? He's in a confinement room down here. He's been staying there since last year. Satsuki-kun. The look in Shion's eyes made it clear her determination. Determined. The security guards who chased after Irie were in the security room on the first floor. They had resumed their game of poker. They knew that the mountain dogs were combing the mountains, and they were well aware that the Institute continued to be in danger. But their job was to stay in that room. And besides, they were working hard on their poker game. Of course, they weren't really concentrating on the game itself. They were still both chatting about the recent car chase, and both seemed proud about what they had done. They were ordered to shoot at the tires, but they wished they had been ordered to shoot at Irie himself. They definitely would have caught him then. They talked and laughed like that. When people stopped being on edge, that left them all the more vulnerable. This was a perfect example. That was why it took only 2 seconds to suppress them. Put your hands on your heads. The security guards were professionals. They immediately realized the guns Kasai, Akasaka, and Shion were holding weren't toys. They had already heard there was a gunfight in the basement of the Sonozaki residence. The security guards knew they weren't dealing with amateurs. They also knew they wouldn't hesitate to fire. That was why they surrendered so quickly. They had handcuffs on them already, so it was easy for Kasai and the others to restrain them. The security guards had never thought they'd be wearing the cuffs themselves. They had especially never dreamed of being locked up in a toilet. Their hands were cuffed to pipes behind them, as they sat on the toilet seats. Their mouths were stuffed with hand towels, then covered with duct tape. Shion, clearly amused, remarked on how she always wanted to do this to someone. Kasai couldn't help but laugh. So far, so good. The real challenge is the basement. They'll see us on a security camera. Is the camera black and white? And is the screen divided into 4 sections? I think so. It's one of those typical screens for a security camera. That means its resolution isn't that great, huh? In that case, I have an idea. Shion-san, maybe they've already suffered enough. The mountain dogs weren't only locked in the bathroom, but had to go through extra humiliation. They were undressed. Right? Come on. Oh. Radio calls continued to come in from the mountain dogs who were fighting up in the mountains. The security guards listened to them intently over the speakers. From what they could hear, it was obvious the mountain dogs weren't doing well at all. They kept falling into traps, suffering heavy losses, all of which they had never expected. It was clear that the mountain dogs were trapped, but they even started to think that they were being lured into something bigger than a simple military maneuver. The mountain dogs had made a mistake. They assumed the club members went to the mountains to escape from Hinamizawa. But they were wrong. They were simply being lured into their enemy's carefully prepared territory. The panicked voices of the mountain dogs, Takuno's yelling, and Okunogi's reprimands could be heard through the speaker. It certainly sounded like a war zone. Phoenix 1 to Phoenix. Break time is over. We're moving in. We'll take over Heron's positions. We've already suffered critical casualties on our side, but the enemy has steadily retreated, and we almost have them surrounded. We're almost there. We'll use Phoenix to overpower them. The Major will take command. I'm going in too. We'll finish them off. Hey, the commander is going as well. Phoenix is going in too. It's an all-out attack. I can't believe this. Have most of our units been defeated? Who are we up against anyway? What kind of special unit are they? The security guards listening to the battle reports over the radio fluctuated between dismay and rejoicing. A cute chime rang suddenly. It was a warning chime that rang automatically when someone went through the entrance to the basement. When the chime rang, the guards were supposed to check the screen to see who was coming through. Oh. Oh, it's these guys. Okay. They were just listening to the battle. The ones who looked at the screen needed a moment to comprehend what he was seeing. Hey, it's Director Irie. What? They could see the two security guards on the first floor restraining Irie and some girl. This is Director Irie, right? What's going on? I get it. The unit fighting against the mountain dogs are a diversion. Those two are here to rescue Tomitake. Call the major and let her know we have the director. A buzzer sounded, and a computer panel displayed information about the card being used to enter. Commissioned Officer Pass ID 001, Special Grade 1, Irie. And entered with his password, of course, so it didn't work that well. Match. Huh? How strange. The security guards brought Irie down. That made sense. But why were they using the director's security access card? They were even using his fingerprint. Why were they having him do that? Wouldn't it be quicker for the guards to do that themselves? Ah! One of the guards figured it out, but it was too late. The door to the basement was open, and the four newcomers forced their way inside. They ran through the security camera screen and were headed straight for the security room. They had them. Oh jeez. As soon as the door opened, the security guards started firing. Akasaka realized that if it had taken him a second longer to pull back, he would have been riddled with hundreds of bullets. One of the guards pushed the desk onto its side. The paper cups on the desk fell to the floor, spilling coffee everywhere. They used the desk as a barricade. The other two guards started to shoot at random. As long as the guards were shooting at the rescue unit, they couldn't counterattack. One of the guards activated the emergency alarm, and another picked up the submachine gun off the wall. The other one picked up a gas mask. It was impressive that they got their act together so quickly. A situation like this would result in a fierce gun battle, meaning that it would take quite a while for the rescue team to suppress the guards. The emergency alarm sounding in the basement reminded them that their surprise tech had failed. Shit! Look at my fists. We couldn't do it. But they're stuck in that room. I actually have to see his fist in the original sprite. Here we go. But they're stuck in that room. While they're there, we can rescue Satsuki-kun and Tomitake-san. The mountain dogs outside would definitely hear that alarm. If they took too long, the enemy would come to block their escape route. Then they'd be trapped inside. Right. I think there was something about dealing with intruders in the security system. Aries started to speak while he tried to recollect it. Shion told him that he should have remembered something like that before they came in. Before he remembered, a voice came on over the speakers. There's been an emergency in the entrance block. All areas in the research center will be shut down as an emergency measure. All entrance area staff are to gather in the security room and put on gas masks. Please follow the security guard's instructions. The gas will be disseminated automatically in the entrance area within 2 minutes. I repeat. So we'll have to take them down and cancel the alarm within 2 minutes, or we'll be in big trouble. What kind of gas are we talking about here? Is it poisonous? Oh, it's probably just sleepwalk. I think it's diphenyl cyanoarsine. If you inhale a lot of it, it's dangerous, but it's not deadly. It only takes a few seconds to take effect. There are many symptoms, but the most common one is to sneeze for about 30 minutes. Isn't that also called red agent? The military used to use it to secure enemy territories. They either had to run out of there immediately or take over the security room, but since the area had been sealed off, they couldn't escape. But there were armed guards in the security room, and if the rescue unit members even peeked around the corner, they'd be shot at mercilessly. Damn, this won't work. We can't aim and shoot in this situation. The basics of indoor combat. Grenades, huh? Shit, we don't have any. If we rush in, we'll be shot at. What can we do? Sachiko is finally within my reach. Damn it. Excuse me. She unpressed her forehead against her gun, gritting her teeth in frustration. As Kasai analyzed the situation, he stood up and spoke. Everyone, let me handle this. The guards in the security room were on edge too. Once the gas was flowing, everything would come to an end, but the guards knew their enemy wouldn't just sit and wait for that to happen. They'd come rushing in, regardless of the counterattack they'd face. Although the guards would still have the upper hand, it'd be a point-blank gunfight. They wouldn't come out of it unscathed. Therefore, as the deadline approached, their tension increased. The guards never even considered that the door they opened would be shut again. They fired at the door, leaving many small holes in it. After that, it all went quiet. What were they thinking? There was nowhere to hide. The gas was about to be released. Why had they closed the door? For what reason did they do that? That was when a loud explosion punched a hole in the door the size of a fist. Not only the door, but the wall in the security room had a similar hole. Is it a magnum? No, that's a slug. A calm voice echoed from the other side of the door. Correct. This weapon isn't meant to be fired at a person. You know how powerful it is, right? Shit. The power of a slug bullet is limited to extremely close-range battles, but it's also incredibly powerful. After all, it's fired from a shotgun, but it doesn't scatter. A shotgun is meant to fire scatter shots, but it can be used to fire only one huge, incredibly powerful bullet. That's the slug. It's usually used for hunting. It's used to shoot at animals, not humans. If it was to be used on a human, their arms and legs would be shattered, and nothing would be left of the head. It shouldn't even be called a bullet. It should be called a cannon. It would easily pierce through the door, the desk they were using as a barricade, and any guards hiding behind the desk before slamming into the wall. The guards understood very well just how powerful it was. The kind of guns they had shot out mainly small bullets, therefore they didn't work as well through a door. But their enemies didn't care about the door at all. Their weapon could easily pierce through anything. Hiding behind a desk didn't mean a thing. You understand how powerful my weapon is, correct? If you don't want to die, please turn the alarm off. Calm down. The gas will be released any minute. We have to hang in there, just for a few more seconds. Don't you realize your guts will be scattered all over the floor before that happens? Kasai's voice was extremely intimidating. Only one who truly understood the power of the shotgun could talk that way. We don't have time. I'll give you 5 seconds. If that alarm isn't turned off in 5 seconds, well, be prepared for that. Hey, what do we do? There are about 60 seconds left before the gas is released. Calm down. He's nervous too. Don't let him take control of the situation. That was when a deep voice rang out, reverberating through the pit of their stomachs. Hey, I've been nice up until now, but didn't you hear what I just said? It must have been coming from the same person, but it had changed so much so quickly. I, Tatsuyoshi Kasai, am giving you the chance to live. Aren't you a bit grateful of that, you piece of shit? You don't think I'm serious, do you? Huh? Answer me! A roar and an explosion sounded at the same time. The upper half of the door disappeared. Numerous lead balls bounced around in the room, breaking the lights and ricocheting off the walls. Shattered glass fell onto the floor. The shotgun had turned the security room into hell. The hurricane of lead balls blew violently through the room as it shattered, scattered, and destroyed everything. The guards could only cover their heads and pray. They prayed the lead balls wouldn't hit them, and endured the falling glass. Before they had a chance to recover, Kasai jumped in through what was left of the door and kicked the desk aside. He stepped onto one of the guards' head and yelled at the others. Alright, who wants to be minced first, huh? Is it you? What happened to that attitude just now, huh? No, I give up. Don't shoot. Don't waste my time, you shithead. Do you want to die? I dealt with far more dead people than any of ya. Sorry, please don't kill me. They dropped their guns voluntarily and got on the floor with their hands on their heads. Even Shion couldn't believe what just happened. There were several of them, and all had been amply armed. Kasai had a weapon too, but it was his presence that defeated them. Even the mountain dogs couldn't equal what Kasai once had to go through. What the heck are you taking a nap for? Do you want to inhale the gas? I can easily rip your mask off, you know. Turn the fucking alarm off already. Okay, I'll turn it off, I will. Don't shoot, don't shoot. Click, click. One of the guards got up in a hurry and switched the alarm off. Kasai stood there calmly, but they were only seconds away from the gas releasing. Shion and Akasaka came to their senses quickly and moved into the room to help Kasai subdue the guards. Kasai, you are... I never wanted to do something like that again, but it was an emergency. Please forget about it. That was the Kasai Shion knew. But in the end, Kasai hadn't killed anyone. Shion remembered Kasai telling her how terrifying shotguns were in the basement of the Sonozaki residence. That was Shotgun Tatsu, whom all the people in Shishibone were so afraid of. Let's hurry. The alarm has gone off already. We can't stay for long. You're right. Let's hurry. Akasaka and Kasai pulled out the guards' handcuffs and restrained them. Sachi-kun! Where's Sachi-kun? Now that the security room was under their control, Shion realized there was nothing keeping her from seeing Sachi. She was getting anxious. Eri had shown her the map. He must be down here, she thought. Shion had already started to run. I'm going too. We have to evacuate Sachi-kun and Tomitaki-san. Alright, go ahead. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Akasaka felt a chill running down his spine. Eri said there were 6 security guards. Shion wasn't paying attention to anything else. She was only thinking about her reunion with Sachi, and she still can't hear in her left ear. To make things worse, the security guard is waiting on the left side of Shion. Shion had to regret letting her guard down just a bit too early. The mountain dog jumped out and grabbed Shion. He choked her neck with his thick arm. There was no way Shion could get out of this situation alone. Eri saw what had happened. Fortunately, their backs were turned towards him. Here was Eri's chance to attack the enemy. But, today, Eri had lost a lot of confidence in himself. He felt he hadn't done anything right all day. Fighting wasn't his expertise, so there really wasn't anything he could have done, but he was disappointed in himself for not being able to help just the same. But in that moment, he was the only one who could do anything. If possible, he wanted to go get Kasai or Akasaka. They were both very reliable. They could take out this man in an instant. But there was no time for that. Only in this moment was his back facing Eri. And if Eri didn't do anything, the dog was sure to take Shion hostage, creating a deadlock. Enemy backup could arrive at any moment, so being in a deadlock would mean death. Therefore, Eri couldn't depend on anyone else. He had to resolve the situation himself. He only had one chance. Once the unit member turned around, the deadlock would begin. But was there even a way for Eri to knock him down in one shot? No, he had to. He must. There had to be something that only Eri could do. Eri took a mechanical pencil out of his pocket. What? It was probably the strongest weapon he had. Wah! Ow. Damn it. Director. Ow. Eri stabbed the man's neck with his mechanical pencil, but it only scratched him a little. What was he thinking? The man drew his gun, pressed it to Shion's head, and created a stalemate, just as Eri predicted. Sorry. I was only thinking about Sachi-kun. Shion's eyes were filled with tears. Okay, Director, could you please tell your friends to get rid of their weapons? Going by that huge sound before, one of you has a pretty big gun. I don't want to get shot with that. Come on, Irie. Remember Kasai-san from earlier. You can do it. Don't make me laugh. Do you really think you can deal with me? Here? In this basement of the Irie Institute? What? Don't assume this is a regular mechanical pencil. This is actually a syringe that Takano-san developed. Do you want to know what was in it? Do I need to explain? What? If a regular person had said that, it wouldn't have worked. But Irie was wearing his white coat, and the basement was his territory. What he just said sounded very believable. He wanted to believe that Irie was lying, but he started to feel an itch on the back of his neck. H178 is a drug Takano-san created. It's the masterpiece of the 170 series. There is no treatment, and symptoms such as confusion, delusion, headaches, runny nose, stuffy nose, constipation, and many other things will start within a few minutes. In the end, you'll scratch your butt so hard you'll bleed. The only cure is to take the antidote within 1 minute. That's a lie. 30 seconds have passed. It's going through your heart by now, and soon it'll be everywhere in your body. Don't your lymph nodes itch yet? Do you snore or fart when you sleep? Shion could only watch this pathetic act in silence. But for the mountain dog, who worked at such a shady research center, what Irie said sounded totally believable. Shit. Okay, I give up. Hurry up and give me the shot. Is that the correct way to ask someone to do something for you? Okay, I give up, sir. Please give me the shot. No, that's not good enough. That's not how you talk to your master. I'll tell you one more time. Are you ready? I have to inject you in the butt. Get on your hands and knees with your pants down. After that, stick your butt up by putting your shoulders on the floor. Butt your right thumbnail and turn around. There you go. Shake your butt and beg me to give you the antidote. What, you can't do that? That's sad. Ever since ancient times, maids vowed complete loyalty to their masters. Their selfless devotions created the virtues and culture we enjoy today. But look what is happening at wonderful Japan nowadays. Youngsters have forgotten the spirit of maids, tanned their skin, started wearing loose socks, flashy Hawaiian fashion. What happened to Japanese women in the good old days? Be careful of excessive tanning. Take care of your skin and keep it smooth. Socks must be knee-high, of course, but garter belts are wonderful too. But once in a while, high socks are okay too. Cultivate the spirit of maid. Come to think of it, Japan has forgotten all about its wabi-sabi aesthetic and maids. The low birth rate and the age of society are a result of that. The middle-aged population continues to grow, and it's only a matter of time before moe media starts targeting that audience. Up until now, older women's series were treated as a niche in porn shops, but eventually they'll occupy a huge corner. Middle-aged women and maids are just like different kinds of toilet detergent. They're dangerous to mix. If you mix them together, then you get housekeepers, not maids. Housekeepers will be the series of videos people will watch. That would mean the extinction of maids. When that time comes, the moon will shatter into a sad rain upon the world. An asteroid belt will cover the earth. That is the judgment day prophesied in Revelations. When the great maid headbands cover the world, the true king of maids will revive. Listen carefully. You stand before the king of maids. Kneel. Take back the stone from that kid. Here are the magic words. Lite Lataparida maid. Maid in heaven. Are you Shion-chan? Yes, thank you. Coach? Aksaka-san and Kasai are here. They got him. What? But I'm not finished teaching him about maids yet. You can continue later, Doctor. Such a coon. There really was nobody left to stop her. Shion ran down the hallway at full speed. It was right there. There was a huge window in front of Shion that allowed her to look inside. Shion threw herself at the window. Sashi was there, lying on the bed. He was sleeping with an IV connected to his arm. There were some wires attached to his forehead and chest to observe his brain waves. The waves of light displayed on the machine they connected to proved that he was at least still alive. But he might be sleeping very deeply. His face was pale, and he looked like there was barely any life left in him. He is alive, right? Sachiko is alive, isn't he? Calm down. Dr. Eri, hurry! Eri brought in a stretcher to load Sachi onto. Kasai opened it up. Hurry, put Sachiko on it. Shion-san, before we take him out of here, there's one thing I want you to promise me. Eri gave Shion a condition. What is he saying now? Shion angrily thought. I'm going to move him onto the stretcher, but don't try to wake him up. Do you understand? I want you to promise me. Why? Why can't I wake him up? That was the first thing Shion wanted to do. She wanted to tell him personally that he was free. But Eri was telling her that she couldn't do that. I know it's hard. I'm going to tell you the truth quickly. Sachiko suffered serious emotional damage on that day. Fortunately, he's alive, but he can't tell his friends from his enemies, or truth from fiction. He's suffering from a serious delusion of persecution and failure. To escape from that, he would attack anyone. In fact, one of the clinic staff was seriously injured last year, so much that she had to go through facial reconstruction surgery. He would even attack you. Shion finally noticed it. While Sachi was covered in a blanket on the bed, there were 2 belts over that blanket, holding him down on the bed. And they also had leather straps around his arms. He was restrained to the bed. The belts had some marks on them. But, is he ever going to get better? The silence that followed was cruel. Eri wanted to tell her that he would be cured, but he was a doctor. He knew he shouldn't say anything irresponsible. And so that was why he couldn't say anything. What is it? What the heck is it? Are you saying Sachi-kun will never say anything anymore? He will never rub my head ever again? Why? Why? Shion cried as she pounded on the glass. Stop. If you really care about him, please don't wake him up. That's what he wants too. If you wake him up, he will likely hurt you. He doesn't want you to see him like that either. So please, try to understand. Why? What? Shion slid down the window and hit the floor, crying uncontrollably. She scratched at the floor. The sad reunion and her anger made her claw at the tiles. If Sachi's smile was there under the floor, Shion would scratch until all of her nails were gone. But Sachi wasn't under the floor. He was right there. He was sleeping on the bed, and he wasn't supposed to be woken up. But there is some good news too. It was a very small change, but his brainwaves have improved just a little in the past year. Human bodies are strong. The same can be said about their brains. There have been cases of people who received fatal injuries to their brain, yet recovered completely. Sachi-kun is trying very hard to come back. He's continuing to fight. I won't give up either. I'm doing my best to bring Sachi-kun back to our side. And I will bring Sachi-kun back to Hinamizawa. The brain is what moves people. But the brain is only a part of a body. If something happens to the brain, the person will end up changing. That change hurts the person himself, as well as the people around him. And hurting others hurts that person even more. Eri recalled his parents. The abnormal change in his father. His mother was not able to understand that it was caused by a brain disorder. That was enough. That was sad enough. That was the reason why Eri became a neurologist. Right now, there was a young boy before him. And a young girl. Before him was a fragment of the sadness from that day. A fragment of that day's regret. After his father's death, Eri learned that he was misunderstood and that was due to a brain disorder. But it was all too late by then. He regretted not getting into the study of brains 5 years earlier, but it was too late. But now he had studied and experienced so much. He had achieved things, and he had confidence. But he still had regrets about that day. Eri holds his fist tightly and spoke without hiding his tears. I promise. I bet my life on it. I will bring Sachiko-kun back to Hinamizawa. I promise you, Sachiko-kun is trying to come back. If we reach out to each other, it will happen. Shion-san, please trust me and wait. I promise you. I will bring him back to Hinamizawa. Eri vowed this from the bottom of his heart. And he realized something. Eri realized that everything he had done was in preparation for this day. The two people in front of him weren't his parents, but he was going to rid himself of his regrets and devote himself to that promise. Really? Are you sure? Is Sachiko-kun coming back? Really? Yes, he is. I bet my life on it. He's coming back to Hinamizawa. So Shion-san, please wait until that day, and we'll welcome him back together. Do you think you can wait until that day comes? Can you keep this a secret from Sachiko-chan? Yes. If Sachiko-kun's coming back, I'll do anything. I'll endure anything. Please, look over there. There was something in the corner of that dark room. It was the giant teddy bear that Sachiko had bought that day. He worked so hard and saved a lot of money to buy that for Sachiko-chan's birthday. Can you imagine Sachiko-kun leaving without giving it to Sachiko-chan? No, you can't, can you? Sachiko-kun will come back to you, and Sachiko-chan with that teddy bear. Please, just wait until the day comes. Can I come visit him, though? Of course. Can I sit next to him and read a book to him? And... Absolutely. I'm sure he'd like that too. Shion started to cry again. Akasaka came in with Tomitake, but he couldn't say anything to her. I'm glad you're safe. Once you call the Bloodhounds, everything will be okay. Well, it won't be that easy. That gunfight earlier destroyed the radio equipment in the security room. The mountain dogs must have cut all the communications leading out of the village, so the only way to get in touch with Tokyo would be to leave. If that's the case, we'll have to break through in a car. Mion-san and the others are doing a great job gaining some time for us, but they will be cornered eventually. We have to take Tomitake-san out of the village so he can call the Bloodhounds. We have a problem. If they've already cut the phone lines, they must have closed the road to town too. They're also supposed to carry one high-explosive anti-tank weapon in case a vehicle tries to break through. An RPG-7, huh? They aren't expecting a tank, so I guess they'll be using high explosives. Even if they don't hit us directly, they might flip the car. They're not easy to deal with. But unless we use the highway, it would take too much time. We can't take any detours. They're all doing great, but I don't think they'll last until sunset. We have to hurry. We don't have any time to waste, huh? We've got to take Mr. Tomitake to Okunomiya immediately. Coach, head to a safe place with Sachiko-kun. Let's get out of here quickly. It's only a matter of time before they show up. Shion's eyes were swollen from crying, but she had calmed down. Shion, Sachi's safety depended on their victory. They had to win for his sake, too. Although this is a very sad situation, Sachi was alive, and he would be back someday. Shion understood that, but yet more tears poured from her eyes. Sis, everyone, thank you. We've succeeded over here. Are we going back to the battle? Looks like it. Takano didn't have enough stamina to walk around in the mountains. She was running out of breath, but even so, she continued to scream at the mountain dogs on the radio. She wasn't using an intercom like the mountain dogs were. Instead, she was using the communication unit on the back of one of the dogs, so he constantly had to listen to her yelling. Damn, everyone's so useless. How can they call themselves a special unit? Whatever happened to the famous mountain dogs, huh? Takano bit her lower lip and squeezed her left arm with her nails. Her arms had nail marks all over them. She was holding her grandfather's research scrapbook in her left hand. Even Takano didn't even know why she was holding it. Maybe she grabbed it unconsciously because she wanted her grandfather to comfort her. The mountain dogs had already suffered devastating damage. They had to walk around in an area they weren't familiar with, and they wasted their energy on the multitude of traps that had been set. Although they were as tough as can be, they are getting exhausted. Shit. Does the Major even know? Any commands other than attack? Nightingale 1 to Nightingale 13. Watch out, your left wing is down. You're next. You've got to be kidding me. Why me, damn it? He panicked. The same thing kept happening. His team members had been going down one at a time, starting from the left flank. And he was next. Did that mean the enemy was coming from his 9 o'clock? No, those demons didn't think normally. On this mountain, being aware of 360 degrees around yourself wasn't enough. Even being cautious of the ground below your feet and sky above your head wasn't enough. Where are they fucking coming from? Those bastards. Come here, come the fuck at me. Nightingale 13 held his taser in front of him as he looked around timidly. This taser could have been a powerful weapon, but it was far more effectively used indoors. On this mountain, it was almost worthless. Nightingale 13 heard a noise from behind him from a bush. He thought he saw something, so he fired his taser. The electrodes flew out into the bush. Did he just imagine it? He felt a tug on his taser. The cord from the taser was stuck in the bush, and he couldn't rewind it. If it wasn't useless before, it had certainly become that way. Then he heard a noise behind him again, and this time he saw someone coming at him. But his weapon was useless. The newcomer growled at him. What? Damn you! That was all it took. Because he was so scared, he didn't think. That was exactly what Sasuke expected. Sasuke, who was up in the tree, dropped a metal bucket on his head. It landed perfectly. What the heck? What is this? The bucket had some drawings on it. What were they? They were drawings of strange, unknown creatures. They had somehow resembled those strange characters you see on educational TV programs. Aren't they just so cute? Take it home with you. Asbara jumped out from another bush. She hit the bucket with a stick. No, maybe it should be described as a strike, instead of a hit. The man flew backwards. Keiichi was ready for him. The stance he was in looked a bit like... That's it, batting position. He looked like a batter in a batter's box. He was on one foot. That was the legendary one-foot swing created by that world-famous baseball player. Destructive force can't be measured from one direction. It's a function of both speeds added together. Both Keiichi's strike and the speed of his opponent created a truly amazing destructive force. Whoa! A home run bunt! With an exhilarating and magnificent sound, the mountain dog flew into the air in the opposite direction. Then he rolled down on the ground and stopped. There, Rico awaited him. It was almost as though they calculated that he would end up there. Poor thing, poor thing. Pat, pat, me. Rika patted the bucket happily. This comforting moment for Nightingale 13 only lasted for a second. Mion shot her taser at his butt. Nightingale 13 jerked for a moment, then went limp. Another one down. Let's tie him up. Keiichi and Rena jumped on him and tied his hands behind his back with wire. Hello? That was great. What a team we are. Oh, that was perfect. We shall do combination 7 next. Oh well, I want to do 5 again. Oh, you liked that one, did you? You might have a hidden talent for using traps, Hanyu-san. Hanyu and Satsuko high-fived. While Keiichi and Rena tied Nightingale 13 up, Rika tried to sense something in the air. Me, me, me. Bing. I feel something coming towards us from that direction. Me, me, me. There are two. And they're both very scared. Nipa. Rika reported to Mion. She was a bit like a radar. Mion didn't even care about the guy they had just knocked out. She was already trying to figure out their next move while looking at Satsuko's map and using the info Rika gave her. Everyone eagerly awaited Mion's next order. Why are you looking at me that way? You haven't had enough fun yet? Yeah. I guess we're just getting warmed up, huh? Shall we continue? Let's get them all. Yeah! Mion was a great leader. She had both leadership skills and tactical ability, but more than anything, she was great at encouraging people's spirits. There are no cowardly soldiers under a brave general, and brave soldiers fight like a million men under Mion's command. Nobody could stop Mion and her club members. Both Mion and Okunogi's original estimates were too low. Now Okunogi was thinking something else. Before they started the siege, he likened one of them to a well-trained platoon, but that didn't fit anymore. They were on par with an elite armored division. Foot soldiers couldn't beat an armored division. What Okunogi had was just company. What was the air support, or a bombardment from a warship, or an artillery base? Okunogi needed someone to pump the mountain full of holes. If he couldn't have that, he needed a submarine to fire a nuclear weapon. But they don't have that. They're in Japan. If he couldn't have that, he wanted to retreat. Okunogi no longer doubted it. The enemy commander was a genius. Under a mighty commander, all soldiers become heroes. He wanted to see the face of the commander, or at least he wanted to know their name. But then Okunogi remembered that demons used to live in Hinamizawa. He also realized the commander had to be a demon. This is Nightingale 13. I'm down. Phoenix 4. I'm down. This is Skylark 10. I can hear the voices of children. I'm surrounded. Help! Help me! Skylark 10. Fall back. Fall back. To where? Whoa! This is Phoenix 9. I found R. I'm following her. I need assistance. Phoenix 9. Where are you? I don't know where you are. Give me your current location. There's the fog. It's cold. Is this a riverbank? Phoenix 9. There are no rivers anywhere near us. Calm down. Where are you? What? I can see. My dead sister on the other side of the river. Sis! Phoenix 9. Phoenix 9. Answer me. Phoenix 9 is down. This is impossible. They must be the demons of this mountain. I know. They're all being demoned away. None of us are making it out of here alive tonight. Stop saying things like that. All unit leaders, conduct a roll call and give your members some encouragement. Our enemies aren't demons. They're just a bunch of damn kids. Show them what we've got. I hear that. Whose intercom is it coming from? Not mine. It's not coming from mine. A bear. What? This is Phoenix 3. Are there wild bears here? That wasn't in the briefing. Phoenix 1. Let's fall back. Give us approval to use firearms. Don't be stupid. There are no wild bears around here. It's just them. Don't let them fool you. You foolish humans. Know your sins for stepping onto this sacred ground. Be grateful to me, for I am giving you a chance to atone. Damn it, she has one of our intercoms. Don't let the enemy fool you. You fearless humans. If you can only learn by making mistakes, then I shall teach you. This is Nightingale 1. Where is everyone? Where'd you all go? Come in. Come in. I see a helpless bird getting lost in a forbidden forest. Do you want to know that badly? Do you want to know about the world of demons? Say goodbye to the world of humans. Curse your foolishness for not listening to my warning. Hmm? Yeah. Who was that? Nightingale. Roll call. Yeah. 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 One more down. Who was it? By the way, HQ, I have someone on my left, right? I'm not alone, am I? Do you want to hear more painful voices? Yeah. Hmm? What was that? Who made that sound? I've seen someone jump in front of a train before. It made the exact same sound. That's the sound of a human body being crushed. No, I don't want to die like that. I don't want to die. I don't want to die. Please, God of the mountain, please stop. I'm not doing this because I want to. I'm doing this because I get paid for it. Nightingale 1 to base. This isn't working. Too many unit members are dropping out, and it's almost impossible to get them to fight anymore. We can't maintain the battle line. We're just going to lose more men. Calm down, Nightingale 1. The rest of our soldiers are all amateurs in the field. You graduated from that hell. So what are you doing getting shook up? Calm down and set an example. Base. There's no response from Nightingale 1. I can't believe it, but he's down. This is impossible. They're demons. No, damn it. Our enemy is even using psychological warfare. Those damn punks are winning against a professional, unconventional warfare unit. Radios are usually helpful to communication tools. But in this case, they backfired. The club members took an intercom from a mountain dog they knocked out and used it to corner the other members psychologically. It worked even more effectively because they were in enemy territory and were unfamiliar with the terrain. The best solution would be to make everyone stop using the intercom, but that would give the enemy more chances to attack them individually. Okanogi was growing fearful of the club members, as he still hadn't grasped their true identities. However, Takano still hadn't realized how serious the situation was. She kept yelling at the mountain dogs to get their act together. Okanogi could tell she was exactly the type of commander who only commanded to attack and let her men die. But Takano's reckless orders were working in a way. Although the club members were working, their area of operation was getting smaller. Wait, was that working or winning? Winning. The club members were trying to lure their enemies to one trap area after another. In other words, they were defeating the mountain dogs by allowing them to come into their territory. The mountain dogs were about to be annihilated, but the curtains were closing on the club members' theater too. Okanogi realized his enemies were trying to finish this battle in a hurry. If the mountain dogs fell back, everything they had done would be for nothing. He didn't want to, but he had to follow the princess's orders. Okanogi figured he was finally about to get his enemies. Hanyu and Keiichi continued to act over the commandeered radio. Oh, that was great, Hanyu-chan. You sounded like a real god. You really were awesome, Hanyu. I never thought a normal person could sound like that. That's because she is a god. Nippon. Oh, whoa. But Keiichi was great too. His scream was incredible, like someone was strangling a chicken. Oh, that was easy for Keiichi-san, no? In our club, he's also known as the Magician of Words. As long as my opponent is a human being with ears, I can control him. You should become a voice actor. I bet you'd be famous. Nippon. Can you hear me? I'm Takano, Major Takano. I'm your boss's boss. Listen well, there is no god or demon. And if there is, then you can still fight. Drag God down from its pedestal. Scarlet and Nightingale, join up and reorganize your forces. Phoenix, you join the remainder of Heron. The enemies are near the top of the mountain. Their base is probably somewhere by the Forestry Service's storage shed. They're at the top, so of course they could see our movements. They'll be trying to ambush you. Even if you have to stab each other, make sure you take them out. Major, let us arm ourselves. We need more than tasers. Absolutely not. We finally surrounded them. If we fall back, they'll escape. We almost have our hands around their necks. We just have to squeeze them. At the same time, Okanogi received another radio call. Using that line meant his caller didn't want Takano to hear the conversation. Okunogi understood the meaning of that, so he walked away from Takano and answered quietly. Command vehicle to Phoenix 1. There's been an emergency. The research area of the clinic has been attacked. We received the intruder alarm from the entrance area, but it was turned off. But whoever turned it off didn't follow the false alarm procedure. We've been trying to confirm the situation, but there has been no response as of yet. All the security unit members in the basement have gone quiet. Okunogi understood everything. He had been fooled. He suspected a diversion, but he never even thought the heavily armed security unit of the Mountain Dogs could be bested. If the enemies were soldiers in camouflage, then he wouldn't have been fooled. He underestimated them because he thought they were kids. But now he really understood. He understood the reason why no adults had showed up in this battle on the mountain. I get it. Did you let Kuku and Tokyo know? Not yet. Would you like me to? Do it now. Tomitake has escaped. We've closed the escape route, but I guess that's no use. They defeated even the armed security unit within seconds. I don't think one RPG could stop them. Should we send reinforcements to the blockade team? Fool! If we had any extra men, the princess would have already sent them in. Actually, you're the only one who isn't doing anything. Get in touch with the blockade team. Tell them to be prepared for a vehicle trying to break through the roadblock. Roger. Roger, we'll be ready. Everyone, listen up. I just found out that the clinic has been attacked and the hostage has escaped. The enemy is expected to break through the blockade. Get the RPG ready. We'll fire at them all at once. We have permission to shoot. One of the Mountain Dogs nodded and opened a narrow case in the trunk of the van. In that case was a powerful anti-tank weapon, designated RPG-7. This was a weapon that many said changed the history of modern warfare. After all, this terrifying weapon had a firing range of over several hundred meters, and was capable of burying most tanks in existence. The dawn of this weapon meant that we were now in an age where a lone foot soldier possessed the firepower to destroy a tank. It was capable of reshaping the history of warfare. That was the RPG-7. Each of the other 4 members had an MP5, the weapon used to destroy the tire on Irie's car. There was no question the blockade team was well armed. They waited in the van until the enemy vehicles showed up. Once they saw a suspicious vehicle, they were planning to stop it by moving into the middle of the road. They were intending on destroying that vehicle by firing all at once. They all watched very carefully for suspicious vehicles coming from Hinamizawa. This was the only road that connected Hinamizawa to Okunomiya. It would take more than a half a day to get to there if they used a different route. Their blockade was where the gravel road changed to a paved road. It was what people called the village border, and was their last chance to stop anyone from leaving. Hinamizawa was at a higher elevation from that point, so the vehicle would be coming downhill. They were probably expecting a barricade, as well as heavy resistance from the Mountain Dogs. If they wanted to pass this point, the only way would be by force. They could start a gunfight, but that would take too much time. Since they didn't want to waste any, they should avoid unnecessary conflict. Grumble. Somebody's stomach growled, but nobody made fun of it. That was understandable. Since all the members were getting ready for a battle, nobody even wanted to laugh. We looked at the clock. It was almost noon. Of course we'd be getting hungry. At that time, they heard a noise coming from the direction of Hinamizawa. Obviously, the car was going very fast. Here they come! The van moved to the middle of the road and stopped there. Some of them hid behind the van, and some hid in bushes on the side of the road. They pointed their guns at the suspicious vehicle coming towards them. The car must have been going very fast, but this was a straight road. No matter how fast it was going, it couldn't escape. The car happened to belong to Kasai. The shiny black paint and the sound of an engine made it clear that it was a very nice car. Wait until the last possible second. We can only fire once. Make sure to get them in one shot. The RPG-7 fires unguided rockets. Therefore, hitting a quickly moving target is extremely difficult. In this case, however, their target was straight ahead. If the car tried to swerve suddenly, it'd flip. If that was the case, it wasn't necessary to shoot directly at it. Besides, according to what Kasai said, its power can easily flip a car without a direct hit. Even if there was only one chance to fire, the mountain dogs were definitely in an advantageous position. Tomitake-san, a suspicious van is blocking the road. Please stay low. Careful. Try to hit the nose of the van. I know. I've done this before. The mountain dogs aimed at the vehicle. It was coming right for them. Not yet. Not yet. Wait until it's within 100 meters. I know. Just range me. The mountain dogs in the bushes lied in wait, ready to fire. The rocket on the tip glinted eerily, like it was waiting for its prey. 200 meters? 150? Prepare to fire. The soldier put his finger on the trigger of the RPG-7. Whoa! Akasaka-san, prepare for impact. 100 meters. Fire! What happened? Didn't the RPG-7 fire? That was when the one measuring the distance next to the shooter noticed something. The shooter's shoulder had been hit, and was tumbling to the ground. Was there a sniper? I didn't hear anything, so it must have been from over 400 meters away. Who cares? Fire! 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 Only their regular guns could stop the car now. The other mountain dogs fired all at once. But immediately they realized something. The car had been hit by a hail of bullets at close range. Any normal car would have been on fire in a short order. But there was nothing. This was a normal car. Of course it isn't. That's the Sonozaki family's specially made bulletproof limousine. Kasai, the spotter picked up the RPG. Don't let him fire. Huh. Do you think I'm going to miss him at this distance? Shion and Kasai were far beyond that straight road. They were in the enemy's blind spot on the other side of the hill, on top of an abandoned car. Shion was on her knees, checking the mountain dog's movements, with a pair of military-grade, high-power binoculars. Kasai was lying on top of the car with a sniper rifle in his hands. Shion figured this would be where the mountain dogs would place their ambush, so the only way to beat the dogs was to snipe at them. Both Shion and Kasai took sniping lessons in the US during the dam conflict. Kasai was now aiming at the man who picked up the RPG and was trying to take position with it. Hurry up, fire it! What? So many yawns. Just gotta not fall asleep. Again, the RPG wasn't fired and was down on the ground. The two who tried to shoot were both groaning and clutching at their wounds. They were both shot in the shoulder. Wounds wouldn't kill them, but they definitely couldn't fire that rocket. The car had arrived. The mountain dog screamed and dove out of its way. Akasaka must have been used to driving in this kind of situation. He hit the nose of the van just right and broke through the blockade. The van was hurled away and spun in a circle. After them! Let's go, let's go! As the mountain dogs tried to get back in the van, Shion and Kasai shot at them. There's a delay between the impact and the sound of the gunshot. It's an extra long distance snipe. He must be a veteran sniper. Also a veteran spotter. They must know exactly where we are. Their aim is just too precise. The scope on a sniper rifle is one specifically made for sniping. Therefore, its field of vision is so narrow that the sniper is unable to see the surroundings well. That's why it's always necessary to pair up with the spotter. The spotter uses powerful binoculars to probe the situation and communicate information to the sniper. Snipers can't do their job alone. Their potential is unleashed only when paired up with a spotter equally as skilled. They tried to stand up and climb into the van, but the ultra-velocity rifle bullets pinned them down. The bullets ripped through the air, traveling faster than the speed of sound. The noise those bullets created was nothing like the sound from a normal gun. It almost sounded like the Grim Reaper himself swinging down his scythe. Furthermore, they could see the mountain dogs, but the dogs couldn't see them. Only those who actually had experience being sniped at could understand this fear. We can't even go near the van. Forget about us. Just go. Okay, we'll go after them. There was a driver and one mountain dog in the van. They had to leave, otherwise it would be too late. The driver made a snap judgment and slammed on the gas pedal. Are they after us? Yeah. They're after us. Boy, he drives well. He's catching up in that van. That's worrying. Please fend them off. Yeah, I'll leave it to you. Tomitake opened a window near one of the back seats and leaned out. Hot air blew into the car. Though the car was jolting up and down on the bumpy road, he checked the mechanism of his gun calmly. He did it naturally, as though examining his favorite camera. The gun had been taken from one of the security guards in the basement. One of the dogs in the van held the same gun in his hands. Their weapons were evenly matched. The road was no longer straight. It curved like a snake. There were some bumps and sharp curves, which made things in the car fly all over. A gunfight in this situation would be extremely difficult. Tomitake realized he'd run empty in no time if he wasted bullets, so instead of firing recklessly, he carefully waited for the right distance, and in doing so, tried to convince his enemy they were still out of range to make them close the gap. On the other hand, the mountain dogs couldn't take it any longer. He fired, wasting his bullets on the bumpy road. Some of those bullets hit the body of Kasai's car, making a nasty metallic noise. Tomitake-san, it's not safe to lean out like that. Don't worry. A shooter that clumsy can't hit me. He was my student. If he was my student, he would have to start all over. In a situation like this, it's safer to wait and see for a moment. We learn to predict our opponent's behavior and shoot depending on that prediction. Don't try to shoot the target. Try to let the bullet find it. Just like this. Tomitake fired for the first time, after cautiously waiting for the perfect moment. Those who understood guns would be fascinated with his shooting form. His stance was so firm he didn't lose control, even in the violent burst of shots. Yet there was no unnecessary tension, and just enough slack. Despite being in such an anomalous position as leaning out from the car, Tomitake was shooting very precisely. It was nothing like what the mountain dogs did earlier. He shot at just the right time, so his bullet went where it was supposed to go. It was hard to believe that they were using the same gun. Nasty metallic sounds etched themselves into the body of the van, which made the mountain dogs realize just how good Tomitake was. Shit, he's a crazy good shot. He isn't just some office worker in Tokyo. I heard it once before. First Lieutenant Tomitake was transferred to the offices after an accident, but during his instructor years, he taught marksmanship for unconventional warfare units. Huh? What are you saying? Are you saying he's... Tomitake started to aim for the driver's seat to pressure them to give up. The mountain dogs could tell they were in a predicament. Tomitake was capable of hitting his targets easily, even on such a bad road. Furthermore, they were in a bulletproof limousine, while the mountain dogs were in a regular van. The van, which, incidentally, was facing the limousine in pursuit. All his shots had just been warning ones. Unless the mountain dogs called off the chase, Tomitake would start shooting at them soon enough. They had no chance of winning. Phoenix won the pursuit vehicle. If the blockade was broken through, that's enough. Don't go too far. Tomitake is an expert sniper. Don't throw away your lives. What do we do? Can we let them go? Roger, this is the pursuit vehicle. Bending pursuit. We're falling back. Looks like they finally gave up. They're slowing down. Oof. Even after such a gunfight, you're still so calm. I bet you've gone through quite a bit, huh? It's all thanks to my training. Tomitake, having slid back into the car, raised his fist in victory. He was as easygoing as ever, even after a gunfight. Akasaka felt like he was finally getting to know Tomitake for the first time. First Lieutenant Tomitake, I'm glad you're safe. We were so worried that we couldn't get in touch with you. Tomitake was making a call from a telephone booth outside of Okonomiya. The phone lines around there were on a different network than the one the mountain dogs had sabotaged. That was why he could make the call. Tomitake had called Tokyo Direct immediately. He told Tokyo that there were some spies from the mountain dogs within Tokyo's research division, which is how they found out where he was. He also told them that he was captured, but that he had escaped. He told them that they were fooled by the diversion, and that they were on the mountain as they spoke. While he was captured, Major Takano, the ringleader, had hinted at the existence of the mastermind she was working for, etc. He explained everything that he had learned thus far. Please take control of the Area Institute immediately. They've already fired repeatedly, and it will only be a matter of time before the villagers find something out. I urge you to give the command for the Bloodhounds to take action. Well, this is Oka from the Research Division. I'm glad you're safe. The Bloodhounds are already standing by in the air, approximately 30 kilometers south of Hinamizawa. We've been requesting an order to move in, but the higher-ups are stubborn and don't want any problems, so they've been hesitating. But if you're safe, then that makes things simple. I'll tell them what you just told me now. I'm sure they'll approve the operation immediately. The Bloodhounds will arrive within 20 minutes. Hey, we just got an arrest order for Major Takano and First Lieutenant Okonogi. We also got orders to secure the Area Institute as well as to disarm the mountain dogs. All thanks to you. Great job. Tomitake walked out of the telephone box. Is everything settled? Yes. The Bloodhounds are moving in. They're already standing by in the air and should arrive within 20 minutes. How powerful are they? These Bloodhounds, that is. The mountain dogs are a multi-purpose unit, largely deployed to preserve secrecy, but the Bloodhounds are elite units specially trained to do battle. Both their skills and their equipment are far superior. Things will be taken care of very quickly. Akasaka looked at his watch. It was about 12:30. The Bloodhounds would arrive in about 20 minutes. Akasaka remembered how hungry he was. It was lunchtime already. If he was brave enough, he would head to a noodle shop. By the time he was done, everything would have ended. For the mountain dogs, who fought well until the last possible moment, it was ending rather too soon. They were in an area where rice fields and a residential area mix. It was the border of Okonomiya. The sun was covered by a thin layer of silver clouds, and a cool breeze was blowing. It looked like it might even rain a little. The two of them couldn't even remember how many times their lives were threatened that day. They wanted nothing more than to let the rain soak their bodies. After a while, Akasaka spoke. So what do you think, Tomitake-san? What do you mean? I think I'll go back to Hinamizawa. They're still fighting. Yeah, that's true. But are you sure? We're safe here. Rika-chan is waiting for me. I haven't kept my promise yet. Okay, then let's go back. I actually have something to take care of, too. I was thinking of going back anyway. Akasaka-san, have you been on a helicopter before? I have a permit for one. They watched the breeze blowing over the rice fields for a while, then returned to the bullet-ridden car. The car started up quickly, and they drove it back the way it came. It was only noon. There was still plenty of time before the Watanagashi festival began. Clouds covered the sky, and it suddenly grew cool. It was going to rain a bit, according to Okonogi's intuition. He already knew that their enemy had broken through the blockade, but he hadn't told Takano about it. By then, it really didn't make any difference if she knew or not, and he also wanted to reach the top of the mountain. Okonogi was only thinking about one thing. He was thinking about the enemy's commander, who made the day so horrible for him. He just couldn't accept his defeat until he saw the enemy's commander's face to face. The battle was already lost. They just had a princess who didn't think they had yet. With the rest of the mountain dogs fallen to the traps and ambushes, Okunogi had ordered all units except his own to fall back from the front line and into the vehicles. The only ones left to go on were the very determined princess, Okunogi himself, and a handful of exhausted members of the mountain dogs who could barely walk. Eventually, the slope became a little more gentle. Okunogi and his companions finally arrived at the storage shack of the Forest Service. The club members were already aware that the mountain dogs had been almost totally annihilated. Both the numbers and strength of the dogs had fallen far below that of the club members. Therefore, when Okunogi saw his opponents lined up there to welcome them, he wasn't surprised. It was all the kids who had driven the mountain dogs to destruction that entire day. They had also fought with everything they had. Though they overwhelmed us from start to finish, they had used up all their stamina, and were on their last legs as well. Still, their willpower kept them standing. A will born of the victor's honor, which God granted only to the winners. There she is. It's R. Okunogi, capture her. Major, how can you even say that to us under these circumstances? What? Are you disobeying my order? Oh no, I have no intention of doing that. Okunogi removed his communication unit, his taser, and all the heavy equipment he had been carrying. Then he unbuttoned his shirt, and told his men to stay put as he stepped forward. He strode forward about half of the distance toward the club members. I'm Okunogi, also known as Phoenix One of the Mountain Dogs. I'm here to pay my respects to your leader. May I have their name? The club members looked at each other. One of them was a girl taller than the others. She couldn't be that old, but her hawk-like eyes were as sharp as a veteran soldier's. Okunogi didn't know her circumstances, but only those whose lives were threatened on a daily basis had eyes like that. I'm the leader of this club. My name is Mion Sonozaki. The girl stepped forward. How old are you? No, your age doesn't matter. From the turmoil at the police station this morning to this battle on the mountain, were you responsible for it all? The girl didn't answer, but her silence confirmed it more strongly than anything she could have said. You've won this battle. Our princess is the only one who can't understand that. There's nothing else we can do at this point. Tomitake broke through the blockade. I'm sure he's already called Tokyo. I don't know when the suppression unit will arrive, but it's just a matter of time, I'm sure. If you want to laugh, go right ahead. Okunogi, what are you doing? That's the enemy commander. Take her down. Don't pay any attention to her. What do you want? You're our leader, and so am I. You understand, don't you? Is he surrendering? I can understand. He was in charge of the whole army, and all his men are down. So he can't just nod his head and accept defeat. So the defeated general can only requite himself by sacrificing himself, huh? Fine. Do what you need to satisfy yourself. I appreciate it. Mion took a stance. Okunogi took a stance too. Although Okunogi was nothing like Akasaka, he was still a close combat specialist. Even when exhausted, there was no way Mion could defeat him. Takano thought so too. She thought Mion was underestimating Okunogi. But Mion knew. She knew that she was the only one who could put him at ease. Are you ready? Take this! Okunogi readied, launched sharp from his waist, but Mion deflected it to the side with her elbow, wrapped her arm around underneath it, wrenching it back behind him, forced it up into a hold. And then she twisted his arm even further. Okunogi was certain she was going to snap a bone. It was an excellent technique. She took his arm in one flowing motion. It was clear that Mion's self-defense techniques weren't spur of the moment. However, she didn't break Okunogi's arm, but instead threw him onto the ground. She didn't deliver the final blow, but rather chose to look down on him. Not bad. Okunogi, what are you doing? Hurry up and subdue her. Shut up. You just shut up and watch. This is a battle between leaders of men. Okunogi got up quickly, took his stance once again, and then swung his arm down. But Mion avoided it effortlessly, and just like she did before, she grabbed his arm and turned it around. They were in the same position as before. And just like what had happened then, she didn't break his arm, but threw him onto the ground and looked down on him. A rotation throw, huh? The way you move. It's not the Yoshinkan technique, is it? Is it that classy Kobukan one? By the way, when you take your opponent's arm, you can knee him in the face if you want. I see. I'll try that next time. Oh wow, Mion is incredible. She's actually standing toe-to-toe with their commander. Okunogi, use your weapons. What do you think you're doing? Here I come. Ha! He had a stronger drive this time. He tried to kick right through her from a step and a half away. Yet this time, Mion stepped in to launch her own attack, jumping right towards the foot, trying hard to kick her. Mion kept herself low as she entered close range with Okunogi, shutting out his leg trying to kick her. So of course, he went after her head. Okunogi raised his right arm to elbow her in the skull. But this time, Mion rose up, using both hands to keep his arm from swinging down. Unlike the flowing motions from earlier, this was simply a contest of strength. His physique was overwhelmingly superior to hers, so she couldn't win that test of strength. But suddenly, Mion let go, and allowed Okunogi's elbow to come down. Then she stepped to the side. Aha, it's another repeat of before. Okunogi's arm was held to his back, and he ended up in the same position. What came after was different. Okunogi's face lowered as Mion lifted his arm up high. Then she swiftly brought her knee into his face. It was exactly the technique that Okunogi told her about just earlier. And once again, he was down on the ground. That's it. You learn quickly, don't you? You know, strategies, tactics, and combat. You already have everything you need to be an effective commander. You should have been in my position. You should have been the one to lead those shitty mountain dogs. Huh. Sorry, I never want to be a leader of a shitty unit like yours. Mion scoffed. Okunogi took it with a smile too. He wasn't trying to be humble, it was just his pure reaction. You're right. You shouldn't waste your talent on Japanese unconventional warfare units. I bet you could lead in the SAS, Delta, Spetsnaz, whichever you join. You'd be one of their best. In any case. SAS? Delta Force? Lame. All of that is just way too boring. Yeah, I guess you're right. You're right. And tell me, what kind of folks do you want to be commander for? I'm not interested in being in charge of any units at all. Being a leader is fine. A leader. The leader of the British Intelligence Service, huh? That's fitting. No way. Listen, there's only one club I want to lead. That's the club in our Hinamizawa branch school. I'm not interested in games without penalties. The magician of words Keiichi Maibara, seeker of all things adorable and cute Rena Ryugu, trap master Satoko, and the charming enticer Rika-chan. Last but not least, our newcomer, Hanyu Furude. I'll never find anything more fun than playing with them, even if I search this entire world. No wonder. No wonder we couldn't win. With her as their leader, there was no way we could have won. Okunogi? Get a hold of yourself! Takano yelled at him, but Okunogi didn't hear it. Are we finished with the warm-up? This next one is for real. You're going to die. Be ready for that. Come on. I'll give you a fitting end. Something you've been wanting all this time. Good enough. Here I come! Okunogi took about 5 steps backwards and breathed deep. His body twisted as he gathered all his spirit into his right fist. Just as he said, this next attack would be for real. He was putting everything he had into this one final blow. Mion narrowed her eyes, preparing to parry the blow with her side. The sky began to stir. They both felt raindrops on their forehead. Here I go. I'm going to kill you. So come get me, okay? Whenever you're done praying, go right ahead. That one tense moment was suddenly brought to an end. Whoa! He dashed forward from a low position, just like a runner from a starting line. Then he added the twist from his body into the blow, as his right arm roared with all his power. A bolt of lightning punctuated that moment in time, burning the moment into our eyes. In that moment, Mion's stance hadn't changed at all. No, maybe she moved like lightning in the moment it struck. We had to recall the moment burned into our eyes to review the scene. Okunogi had swung with his right fist, which had enough power to shatter Mion's bones. So what if 100% of his power was directed back at him in a counterattack? When the lightning struck, Okunogi's body had been flying through the air. It was a legendary technique in Japanese martial arts, passed down in Judo and Aikido, the air throw. It looks as if one is being thrown without his opponent even touching him, a miraculous technique that occurs at lightning speed. Of all the techniques Mion possessed, it was the most sublime, advanced technique she could administer on the defeated General Okunogi. The feeling of freedom while flying in the air is more memorable than the impact of hitting the ground, supposedly. When Okunogi hit the ground behind Mion, a heavy rain suddenly began to fall. And just as it did, a massive helicopter appeared from the other side of the mountain. The helicopter's rotors stirred up the air and blew away the raindrops like in a tornado. The rotor sounded much like a tornado, too. A rope uncoiled from the rear of the helicopter, and soldiers came sliding down it, one after another. The onlookers were stunned for a moment before realizing what they were seeing. It was the Bloodhounds. The Bloodhounds that Tomitake had called in. Having realized how bad the situation had become, Okunogi returned to the other members of the Mountain Dogs. Nothing was going their way anymore. The Mountain Dogs ran down the slope and disappeared into the woods. They dragged Takano with them, who couldn't understand what was going on. A voice echoed from a speaker attached to another helicopter circling around the mountain. To all staff of the Area Institute, today at 12:30 p.m., the Institute's independent authority was frozen, and is now under the control of the Bloodhounds. As of this same moment, HQ has ordered complete disarmament of all Area Institute staff. All Mountain Dogs are to disarm themselves immediately and gather at the parking lot of the Area Clinic, or at the storage shack at the top of the mountain. Failure to respond accordingly will result in discipline under not only civilian law, but under self-defense rules as well. Bloodhound members continued to slide down the rope from the helicopter. Even at a glance, they were very different from the Mountain Dogs. They were armed more heavily, and the guns they had were much larger. Such things clearly differentiated the two units. Does this mean that we have won? I don't know. I've never seen this before, so I don't know if we really did. Satsuko and Rika sat down and hugged each other. They were both soaked in rain, but they still sat down in the mud. Mion stood solemnly in the rain, as the leader of the winning team. The Mountain Dogs had abandoned the field. They all ran away with their tails between their legs. Keiichi and Rena ran over to Mion. Mion. Mi-chan. It's over. Yeah, our club activity is over. Mi-chan is safe. Everyone else is safe. Mi-chan, it's our victory. You led us this far, Mion. It's all thanks to you. But Mion didn't seem to be listening to Keiichi and Rena. Instead, she mumbled to herself. I like punishments. Huh? Club activities can be cruel, huh? We fight to decide who's the loser. So that means everyone looks down on whoever does lose, right? We don't look down on anyone. We just do the punishment, and that's it. Yeah. We do the punishment, and that's it. We all enjoy laughing at the loser, and then forget about it. That's why I like what we do. We all laugh, including the one who came in last. Nobody gets hurt. We all laugh, and then we're done with it. That Okanogi guy thought he couldn't purify his sins unless he was defeated by me. I mean, sure, it got pretty serious. We were almost killed, too. But it's all over, right? The game is over. And even though it is, there is no punishment for the mountain dogs. Neon might have realized something when she threw Okanogi. Keiichi didn't think anybody else could understand that. I don't know what you're trying to say, Neon. Forget about him. It's all over for them anyway. Yeah, you're right. Everything's all over now. We're all alive. Nobody got seriously hurt. So, let's enjoy our happy ending. That's right. Nobody got hurt. It really is a happy ending. While they hadn't yet confirmed Shion and Kasai's safety, they were correct. This was the happy ending that they had all been fighting for. However, Neon was still thinking. She only understood the reason for that in the moment the thunder struck. But as soon as the flash of the lightning disappeared, her understanding vanished as well. All she could remember was that she noticed something very important, and that shortly after, she completely forgot about it. She could only feel a great sense of loss. The bloodhounds soon surrounded the club members. At first, they thought the club members were their enemies, but when Tomitake appeared, he explained the whole situation. The commander of the bloodhounds appeared to beg the club members not to say a word about anything, as it was a politically sensitive incident. It was amusing to see a man like that beg while carrying all those weapons. Of course, they had no intention of talking to anyone about it. Once it had ended, it all felt like a bad dream. If, on the following day, someone asked them what they had been doing, they might not even remember it. This day was that unrealistic for them. So even if they were asked, they wouldn't say a word. Riki-chan, I'm glad you're safe. Akasaka, I'm glad you're safe too. Me. It all worked out great too. Are you all alright? The clinic has been occupied by the watchdogs. Bloodhounds. The mountain dogs are all surrendering too. Dr. Iri and a boy he was hiding with... Oh, Sachi. Have been put under the bloodhound's protection as well. Coach is safe too, is he? I'm very glad about that. Wait, a boy? I do wonder who that could be. Perhaps Tomita-san or Okumura-san were injured. Satsuko, I'm very happy for you. Rika's smile made it clear on what she had gone through. Someone could only smile like that after a long and exhausting struggle. Satsuko had no idea what that smile meant. How much time would be needed to make her understand? Still, Iri will do something about it. For certain, he will bring Satsuko's Nini back home. That's right, Satsuko. You haven't taken your shot today, have you? You can't forget about that. Ah, quite true. How troublesome that I can't forget about the shot, even in this situation. Satsuko seemed to have no idea that her medication was connected to the syndrome. Perhaps she was already aware, but pretended not to be. Rika vowed to herself that no matter how long it took, she was going to witness with her own eyes the moment her best friend finally parted with her tragic past. At least I only need to take this shot twice a day. It was 3 times for the previous one. Satsuko also had no idea that Sachi was involved in the development of her medication. Eri had said that Sachi, as a specimen, had contributed much to Satsuko's treatment. Even while asleep, Sachi longed to ease the burden on Satsuko, and those feelings must have influenced Satsuko's medicine somehow. Satsuko had to inject herself in the stomach. For privacy, she ran into the grove of trees to give herself a shot. There was no danger in her doing so. One after another, the bloodhounds dropped down from the helicopters. Each helicopter must have carried at least 20 or 30 soldiers. There was one helicopter at the top of the mountain, 2 more halfway down the slope. Troops were pouring down from all of them, leading to the impression that the entire mountain was under the bloodhounds' control. Nobody fired their weapons even once. The mountain dogs had no choice but to surrender. It wasn't raining hard at all. The sky should clear up after 20 or 30 minutes. It was the volatile weather typical of early summer. Satsuko soon returned and spoke to her best friend. Rika, I haven't seen Hanyu-san around. She was here a moment ago. Huh? Hanyu? Hanyu? Got a cat. Where are you? It was stupid of me to think that Tokyo had sent more support. They're acting as if they've known of their loss for a while now. I was the only one who didn't know. What's going on? Tell me this minute, Okunogi. This is it. They're the Bloodhounds. Tomitake called them in. Bloodhounds? I've heard the name before, but aren't they similar to the Mountain Dogs? Why aren't you fighting back? You've got to be kidding me. We Mountain Dogs are simply a counterintelligence unit. On the other hand, the Bloodhounds are a real combat battalion. There's no way we could defeat them. The remaining 3 members looked at me in exhaustion. Why are they here in the first place? We captured Tomitake. Are there more spies? Who are they? Major, the clinic was attacked earlier. Haven't you heard that First Lieutenant Tomitake escaped? One of the 3 spoke up timidly, but Okunogi signaled him to shut up. Nobody told me this. When did that happen? What's going on, Okunogi? Wasn't there a blockade exactly so that they couldn't escape the village? They aren't even responding to me anymore. I've been left behind. I'm the only one who didn't know. I'm being left out. The members looked at Okunogi, waiting for his command. Nobody is waiting for my order. Nobody even cares about my orders. Commander, there's a radio call from the command vehicle. One of the members handed the intercom to Okunogi. This is Phoenix 1. Commander, final orders from Cuckoo. Execute Cuckoo. Cuckoo, roger that. The Bloodhounds have us surrounded. We're being advised to surrender. What should we do? Command vehicle? No. Ota and Adachi, good work. You're cleared to surrender. Disarm yourselves and follow the orders of the Bloodhounds. Roger that, Commander. All units listen up. The command vehicle has been compromised. The clinic is probably in the enemy's hands as well. We've lost all our backup, as well as equipment. All teams have been wiped out. I'm sure everyone is disarming themselves. The Mountain Dogs have been completely defeated. Not yet. Get in touch with Nomura-san in Tokyo. The Bloodhounds? So what? She'll send in units who can beat them immediately. R is still alive. We can activate the final operation. I must let Nomura-san know that. We have to restore communications with Tokyo. We really shouldn't have cut the telephone connections. But we did, so we'll have to recover the command vehicle. We'll get in touch with Tokyo on the radio. Fortunately, the men in the command vehicle surrendered without resistance, so I'm sure the Bloodhound's guard is down. Okunogi, you and the other 3 will be enough. It's still the 19th of June. The operation starts on the 21st? Or is it supposed to be the 22nd? We still have time. We'll manage, Okunogi. Go recover the command vehicle immediately. Why can't you follow my orders? I'm a major. I'm your superior. Why are you listening to Okunogi but not me? Major, didn't you hear what the helicopter said earlier? We've lost. There is absolutely nothing we can do anymore. What are you saying, Okunogi? Are you already giving up? You saw that R is alive, didn't you? What happened today was all because of the rumor that R was dead. But she's alive. That means today didn't happen. We can still use the emergency manual. As long as the Queen Carrier's alive, all we have to do is kill her. Then we'll have 48 hours to execute the manual. Major, it's far beyond that point already. Tokyo doesn't care about the Queen Carrier or the 48 hours after death. Our final operation is a complete failure. Our clients must be running around desperately trying to destroy evidence. Our job here is done. I commanded the Mountain Dogs for about 10 years. It was a valuable experience. But it's all over today. Major, your job is over too. What? What do you mean my job is over? What are you talking about? Major, your job was to rear that scrapbook in your hands. What are you talking about? I didn't expect Okunogi to start talking about my grandfather's scrapbook. I don't doubt that there is a disease called Hinamizo syndrome, but the whole village going into a panic 48 hours after the queen dies. No one's ever seen that happen. No one knows if that's true or not. Don't be ridiculous. Look here. It's somewhere in here. Where? I know it's in here. From the studies of other similar parasites in brains. That the statistics say. Damn it. Where is it? Oh. I flipped through the pages of the scrapbook in a panic. I can't even remember which page I'm looking for. And it's all soaked. Okanogi slapped the scrapbook aside, and it thudded. No, it landed in a muddy puddle, so it splashed onto the ground. The open pages of the scrapbook were face down in the muddy water, and already turning color as they soaked up the mud. What are you doing? This is the most important... As I crouched down to pick up the scrapbook, Okanogi stepped on it. The splash of muddy water hit me in the face. I had to witness my precious scrapbook being stepped on and covered in filth. Major, I don't really care if what's in this scrapbook is true or false. As a matter of fact, nobody does. What? What do you mean? The booger. He must be fed soon. I'm going to use the bathroom and feed him real quick, so I'll be right back. Alrighty, I'm back. What do you mean by that? I tried to get the scrapbook from under Okanogi's foot, but I couldn't pull it out. The clients in Tokyo merely wanted to see how many people would actually believe what's in the scrapbook. They didn't even care if it was the truth or lies, as long as it was believable. They didn't care? No, they didn't. They just wanted some famous doctors to research the subject and come up with a report full of difficult terminology so they could deceive people. That was your job. No, this isn't a lie. My grandfather and I researched it for so many years. Come on, move your foot. The scrapbook is getting soaked through. I'm trying my best so that it's not ruined, but it's no use. The queen dies and the village must be killed. All you had to do was convince the higher-ups of that crazy story. Nobody cared about parasites to begin with. They only cared if it could be used for political gain. You knew that, didn't you? And at this point, nobody will ever pay attention to any of that nonsense again. A lot of people bet on this scrapbook, and they lost. The mountain dogs lost too. That's all there is to it. This isn't nonsense. This scrapbook holds the truth. Everything in it is the truth. My grandpa researched it. I researched it. This is the result. Everyone believed in it. That's why they built such a beautiful research center, isn't it? They believed in it, and that was why Nomura-san got in touch with me. There must be other people who will believe in my work. Because all of this is for the future of humankind. Uh-huh. Okanogi got fed up and kicked me. I don't weigh much, so I fell backwards and became soaked in the muddy water. Okanogi walked over and looked down at me. Fortunately, there's still something the clients in Tokyo are expecting from you. Hey. One of the mountain dogs handed a gun to Okanogi. Okanogi checked the cylinder and then threw it over to me. What? What is this? Major, why don't you use that to shoot yourself in the head? What? I looked at the gun. I'm used to seeing guns, working at the Erie Institute as I do. I was never frightened by guns before, but for the first time, I feel scared just looking at one. You know, this happens all the time, Major. Please take responsibility as the leader of the defeated force and shoot yourself. What are you saying? Nobody has ever told me to die before. Nobody has ever told me to kill myself. If you die, the clients can just blame you for everything. Actually, Tokyo is already preparing to do that. Don't be ridiculous. Why should I have to do that? I'm starting to sob. My body's shaking all over. Well, you don't have to do it yourself if you don't want to. Maybe that's too much to ask of you right now. Okanogi pulled his gun out and pointed it at me. The other members, having realized that everything will work out if I die, just looked at me coldly. I'm going to say that I tried to talk you into surrendering, but you refused. We shot at each other, and I had to kill you. That's the scenario. I gave you the gun so that you could kill yourself, rather than being killed by me. It's to show my appreciation for the time we've known each other. I don't want it to end like that. No. Who came up with this plan in the first place? I don't want this. It was your dearest friend, Nomura-san, from Tokyo. Huh? They had a plan for damage control in case the final operation failed. Nomura-san's codename is Cuckoo. And yours is Baby Bird, isn't it? Do you know where cuckoos lay their eggs? What? Cuckoos lay their eggs in other birds' nests. Once they hatch, they kill the young of the original owner by pushing them out of the nest and then take it over. The baby birds on the ground are left helpless, and they usually end up eaten by mountain dogs. I used the money I got from Uncle Koizumi to pay the mountain dogs, thinking I had gained a reliable ally. I always thought that, although Okanogi was barbaric, he was very reliable. But my nest had been taken over. Major, you never had any allies to begin with. All you had to do was exactly what the clients in Tokyo wanted you to. But now it's over. Now you need to exit the stage. Take it. It's your precious scrapbook. Hold that in your left hand. Pick up the gun with your right. The scrapbook was finally returned to me, covered in mud. I held it with both hands and cried. Whoa! What a joke the entire life of Mio Takano was. Right now is when I should just go back to inside that chain-link fence. My shaking hands held the ice-cold gun. There's only one bullet in there. Sometimes a bullet can ricochet on the scalp. So that's why people usually put the muzzle in their mouths. Come on, hold the gun, point it like this, and die. In the hills of the mountain, a single gunshot echoed. With that gunshot, members of the Bloodhounds rushed in. Okanogi and the other men raised their hands in surrender. Major Takano was with us, but she refused to surrender. She tried shooting at us, so I had to fire a shot to intimidate her. Retriever 7 to leader. We arrested First Lieutenant Okanogi and 3 other members of the Mountain Dogs. Major Takano is on the run. Their footprints are headed southwest, but the brush is too thick and we can't go any further. Requesting backup. Major Takano is armed. I repeat, Major Takano is armed. Retrieve leader to all units. Major Takano is on the run. She's armed, so be cautious. Patrol the area and force her out. I'm running through the mountain, covered in dirt, and still holding the muddy scrapbook. I keep falling because of the mud, and branches and tree roots continue to torment me. I lost one of my shoes, so I decided to get rid of the other shoe, too. This isn't the first time I've had to run like this. This isn't the first time I've ran barefoot. This isn't the first time I've felt such pain on the soles of my feet. This isn't the first time I've cried like this. Excuse me. I repeat, Major Takano, disarm yourself and surrender. You can't escape. The mountain dogs have surrendered. You have no more allies. The helicopter above my head is calling out my name. I crawled into a hollow tree. I held my knees and hid. The last time I ran barefoot like this was a very long time ago. My feet are bloody and swollen, and I can no longer walk. I can only cry as I bite the corner of my scrapbook. Sadness and humiliation fight for dominance in my heart. When I feel sad, I cry. When I feel humiliated, I scratch myself to calm my anger. And I still have the gun in my right hand, the one with the single bullet in it. I have to kill myself. My death is the only thing that can bring it all to an end. Killing myself is the only way to go back to that day. But when I look at the scrapbook in my left hand, I'm assaulted by sadness and fear. I don't want to die. Oh, I don't want to die. Oh, just die. Atone for your actions with your death. I recall the look in Okanogi's eyes. I know I've committed sins. There are so many sins. Too many of them. There are more sins than I can possibly atone for. But, do I have to die for them? No, I don't want to die. I cried again and then noticed someone standing nearby. It's the girl. The girl whom I met when I came to Hinamizo when the Erie Institute was first opened. I met this girl at the shrine when I declared war on God. This girl is the god of this place. That god and looked at me and sneered, rather than sympathizing. Are you still trying to take God's place? Do you still deny that you're human? Long time no see. I lost. I lost this game. This is what I get for challenging God, I guess. Human child, are you still after the position of a god? Are you still willing to endure for the sake of opposing the divine? No way. Taking a god's place really is impossible. Human child, listen well. I will show you the way to godhood. Huh? With the gun in your right hand, end your life. The position of a god requires no flesh. Don't expect people to recognize your existence. Being a god is loathsome. You, foolish child, wanted to become one. Is that still what you desire? Are you telling me to shoot myself with this? That's it? Something that simple would make me a god? That's so simple. Then what is this? What have I been doing all this time? You shouldered the sins of many others. You purified all their sins by sacrificing yourself. Your courage will be praised. You'll be allowed to take a seat among the gods. What's that? You're telling me to be their scapegoat? To take responsibility for all of them and die? Fuck you. I refuse. Absolutely refuse. Why don't you want that? To attain peace in the human world, there must always be one sacrifice for one sin. Isn't that the truth of the human world? Isn't that the method for purifying sin? Didn't you want to sacrifice one girl for the future you desired? What are you talking about? I don't understand anything you're saying. You don't, because you are human. You don't even know how stupid you were to even want to become a god. I do. I don't want to die for other people to become a god. No way. I don't want to become a god at all. I'm fine with being human. I just wanted someone to forgive me for being that way. That's all. But, why is this happening? Then how will you purify the stain? How will you pay the price? Why? Why does someone have to take the blame? You're all pushing responsibility onto other people. They maneuver this way and that, just so they don't have to dirty their own hands. Is that just what happens in the human world? No, that's not. Because when my parents and my grandpa were alive, things like that didn't happen. We were all happy. Nobody blamed anyone else. How did I fall out of that world? Why am I wandering around in the mountains alone in the rain? Why? Why me? Oh, this is the punishment for my sins, isn't it? I knew it. I had noticed it. I made a huge mistake, but I didn't want to admit it. When it was too late, I regretted it for the first time. So this is the punishment for my sins. Oh. The human world will want you to purify your sins. They'll be purified when you sacrifice yourself. That's the way of the human world. However, I'm not a human. I'm a being above man, a being which fills in the missing gaps in harmony. A being that forgives human sins. Man cannot forgive the sins of man. I am the one who forgives the sins of man. And we flashback. I forgive you. Demanding a sacrifice be paid for sins isn't the way of the human world. It's the way of demons. So this is not the world of man. This is a world of demons, created by man and the demons infesting them. Humans cannot end that way of their world. So I became a god to grant that end. It was over 1,000 years of pain. I wanted to come down from this place. I desired a world where God doesn't need to make peace. And finally, after 1,000 years' time, I've finally found that fragment. Human child, I will forgive your sins in my name. Kneel and repent. Ask for forgiveness. Then you shall receive it. God will forgive you. God will forgive your human sins. The God in human form walked up to me and reached out. As I knelt and looked down, she touched my head. Hanyu! Hanyu! Where are you? Hanyu-chan! Answer if you can hear us! I heard voices in the distance. And then I saw a girl standing in front of me. She's one of Mion's club members, my most hated enemies. Shit. She's found me. The rain had already ceased. I decided to come out of the hollow tree. After the rain, it had grown so humid, I was starting to sweat all over. I'm soaked in sweat, mud, and rain. I feel filthy. I've been bitten by mosquitoes, and my body is itching all over. Ah, this is why I hate the mountains. Don't say a word. I pointed the gun at her. The girl just looked at me calmly as if she didn't see it. At the very least, she did follow my order. What should I do? Should I take her as my hostage? I only have one bullet. How long can I keep running for? Hanyu! Where are you? Damn, she really is lost. Ah, there she is. Hanyu-san! Hanyu, where have you... I really am unlucky to the end. Or maybe you could call this a kind of luck. At the end of it all, I managed to get some vengeance. Do you know what this is? It's a gun. It's a gun. Don't you dare move. The tables have turned now. Damn it, why now? Mion-chan, if you don't want anyone else to get shot, step forward. No, don't do it, Mi-chan. Mion stepped forward quietly. She certainly has a lot of courage. No wonder she's their leader. Thanks to you, I've been ruined. Some scary men on the mountain want me dead. They won't forgive me. But I can't just go out like that. At the very least, I want some revenge. Huh. I know you only have one bullet in that gun. That's right. But that one bullet could kill Mion-chan, couldn't it? Takano, are you going to shoot her? Don't move. If you do, I really might just fire this gun. Don't any of you move. Just stay behind me. How courageous. Is this some spirit of self-sacrifice? Rather be shot yourself than letting your friends be shot? Well, it's not that easy to kill someone with just one shot. Of course, it depends on where you hit, though. I'm surprised. How can you be so brave? You want me to shoot you for all the others? Just so you know, if you think that I'll hesitate to shoot because they'll rush over here once they hear it, you're sadly mistaken. Go ahead, shoot me. But after you do, my friends will rip you to pieces. Let them try. They say you dig 2 holes when you curse another. Going down along with the great commander who made Okanogi surrender wouldn't be so bad. Go ahead and shoot me. Make sure that it's me you hit. If you shoot anyone else, I'll put you through hell. Oh my, I'm shaking. No, don't, Michan. Takuma-san is serious. She really will shoot you. Somehow we'll have to buy some time. Someone from the Bloodhounds will come by for sure. I'm sure they will. But I'll shoot before I lose my chance. Let's see. Where should I hit her? I'm not good at this, so forgive me for not being able to aim that well. Me. You aren't serious, are you? Don't anyone move. I'm the leader of this club. If I can protect you all, I'll be satisfied with that. If I don't make it, set up a shrine inside my locker and pray for me there. You'll be taking over my position, Kei-chan. Help him out, okay? Mion is prepared to die. I'm already cornered. I won't accept any words of negotiation. Mion understands that. She doesn't want anyone else to be killed. That was why she chose to be a shield for her friends. That was an easy decision to make for her, because none of her friends would end up hurt. If she ends up getting injured, that would be a stroke of luck as far as she's concerned. Even if she doesn't make it, she thinks that's far better than seeing any of her friends die. And that's why Takano will shoot. Even though she understands Mion's noble intentions painfully well, it's too visceral for her to accept, so she'll shoot. I'll pull the trigger. With all the absurdities of the human world riding on that bullet, I'll shoot her. You all play games often, right? Have you ever played Old Maid? No, we play Old Man, though. They use the same rules. The human world is just like a game of Old Maid. Everyone's trying to foist the Old Maid onto someone else. It's a game that seeks to determine not a winner, but a single loser. The sacrifice. You see, I picked the Joker. But there's nobody else to pass the card to. That's why I'll shoot you, as my revenge. Fitting for this irrational world of man, isn't it? I'm preparing myself to shoot. There's no hesitation left in me. I'll shoot her. I'm serious. Mion closed her eyes and opened her arms to try and shield her friends, as much as she could. And that was when Hanyu stepped forward and placed herself in front of Mion. Hanyu, get back! Brave Mion, I've witnessed your courage. That's more than enough. If the Joker can't be passed to anyone else in this human world, then it's my job to accept it. Hanyu, what are you? Rika, I had a lot of fun in this world. Thank you for letting me join the club. It was so much more fun to be in it than to just watch. So thank you. I enjoyed myself. I was so happy spending time with all of you. In that moment, Hanyu glared at me adamantly. Now, shoot me, child of man. With that sin you must foist onto another. I will accept it. Okay. Fine, die! Club members must have thought I was joking, or bluffing. They didn't think that I would actually shoot. There was a noise like something exploding. In a world where time became as sticky as syrup, we saw it happen. The silver bullet hitting an invisible wall in front of Hanyu, as though the wall was protecting her. The bullet wanted to pierce Hanyu's chest, but it couldn't reach its goal. A bead of sweat formed on Hanyu's forehead. She had stopped the bullet with an invisible force. Hanyu! I'm okay. I can do this, even in human form. The silver bullet was being pushed back. Takano was startled by this otherworldly phenomenon, but then she spoke one phrase. You! Monster! The silver bullet smashed through that invisible wall. There was no longer a wall at all. There was no wall to protect Hanyu from the bullet. The bullet approached Hanyu's chest. Somebody let out a silent scream. Nobody could stop it. Nobody could stop that bullet. In that world of frozen time, nobody could stop the bullet that was stopped just inches in front of Hanyu's chest. Hanyu's friends had seen this scene before. The moment of checkmate. No matter how much they screamed, there was no way to avoid this tragedy. They knew that from their memories. You'll die for sure. Think about the good old times as much as you want. When you're finished doing that, the bullet will pierce your heart, drown in your own blood. Unless I was prepared to do so, I wouldn't be here. Hanyu thought that this would take care of everything. Hanyu wasn't supposed to exist in the first place. She would leave the stage, and the rest of the cast would stay unharmed. This is how it's supposed to be. But in that moment, something happened to surprise even Hanyu. In the world of frozen time in which nobody could move, Rika reached out and put her hand on the bullet that was stopped in midair. How could she move? Even Hanyu couldn't move. Why? Could a mere human like Rika grab that bullet? Don't be so surprised. You've already learned about that. You've learned about how to make a miracle happen. A lot of amazing things happened today, but none of them were worthy of being called a miracle. If we all believed in each other, it was supposed to happen. Therefore, I'll perform a real miracle in this very last moment. I am the reincarnation of Oyashiro-sama, after all. Let me make a miracle happen at the very end. Rika rubbed the frozen bullet gently, very gently, and then held it, and embraced it lovingly, her hands at her chest. In that world where not even Hanyu could move. Now I realize that neither Takano nor Hanyu listen when other people talk. Didn't you hear what Mion said? We don't play old maid, we play old man instead. Takano left and said they were basically the same game, but they're totally different. In Old Maid, a single joker, an unharmonized element is added. To a full, harmonized set of cards, people try to foist it onto another. But in Old Man, one card is removed from that harmonized world, and everyone foists unharmonized fragments onto each other. It's different than having a joker, because everything would be in harmony if there wasn't something missing. Players try to get rid of something in both games, but what they try to get rid of is very different. In our game, the loser is left with one last card too. I can understand how Takano thought they were the same thing, but they're different. Because in our game, if the missing card was added back in, there would be no loser. And if the joker was taken out, there would be no loser. Hanyu, the missing card in this world, where someone has to foist their sins onto another, has joined the game. So this game has no losers. Yet you're still trying to take one card away? What a waste of a miracle. This world doesn't need a losing card. That is the answer I finally reached after a 1,000-year journey. Trying to find a miracle. The answer has always been there. It was there in the very first game of Mion's club. There was always a loser because we were playing a game of cards with one missing. If we could fill in for the missing card by believing each other and helping each other, then it would complete a full deck of 52 cards. A complete card without a world without a loser. A complete world where no one is left out. Nobody has to stay out of the circle. Nobody has to cry or be burdened with sins. A world where everyone holds each other's hands, and forgives each other's sins. When people live, there will be sin. What's important isn't to avoid sins, but to forgive them. A world can only become ugly and twisted when people try to stay pure. Let us accept our sins. Let us all forgive. That's the answer Rika Furude reached. A complete world. A world free from the sins of the human world, where one has to become a loser. Rika reached that as a human being. After an unbelievably long time, she finally reached it. Welcome home, Mother. The frozen time had begun to thaw. There was smoke coming from the muzzle of Takano's gun, so it was definitely fired. However, nobody got hit. Keiichi looked around fearfully to make sure nobody was bleeding. They were all fine. Nobody had been shot. You missed. Serves you right. The tension lifted in Mion's body, and she began to sweat all over. How did I miss? At this distance? All the club members thought the same thing. It was a miracle that the bullet didn't hit anyone. The club members had all felt the same way. They were all thinking, it's going to hit someone, let it hit me. However, Rika Fruity wished for a miracle that was far beyond that. Rika wished for a miracle that was higher than self-sacrifice. She wished for a world where the bullet wouldn't hit anyone. She wished for a world where Takano wouldn't be hurt because she shot someone. Footsteps were rushing towards them. Takano tried to run, but she tripped over a root, and the scrapbook in her hand scattered everywhere. She tried to gather up the papers. As she tried to gather them up, members of the Bloodhounds surrounded her. All the Bloodhounds pointed their guns her way, and some even poked her with them, but Takano still didn't stop gathering up the papers. Some of the men stepped on the papers, and Takano tried to pull them out from under her. She tried to pull them out, begging them in tears not to step on her precious papers. Major Takano, you're under arrest. So, it's all my fault, is it? Club members, feeling bad for her, looked at the ground. Stand up. Put your hands behind your back. Hey, don't resist. No, 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 no. I want to take my grandpa's scrapbook with me. No, no. Takano just wanted to pick up the pages of her scrapbook. But the Bloodhounds, thinking that she's just resisting, pulled on her hair to try and make her stand up. Although this was her fate, it was too hard to watch her be treated that way. And then a noble voice resounded among them. Wait! Radiating with divine light, a man appeared. They all knew this man very well, but they had never seen him look so determined. First Lieutenant Tomitake from the Research Division. I'll take it from here. But sir, we've been ordered by headquarters to bring her back to Tokyo immediately. Can't you tell? Just look at her. Look at all the scars. She's been scratching herself. She must have Hinamizawa syndrome. There were lots of horrible scars on her wrists, arms, and neck. Takano had scratched herself throughout the day because of all the stress. There was no way for anyone to be certain if those marks were symptoms of the syndrome. But when Tomitake said that, it certainly sounded true. But the Major must have been given medication to prevent her from contracting the disease. There's no way she should have it. Haven't you read the report? It says that the inoculation isn't 100% effective. If you'd read the report completely, you would know that these are symptoms of the terminal stage. The Research Division thinks that her treatment should take priority. We must determine if this incident was truly her will, or if she became delusional due to the syndrome, leading someone to take advantage of that situation. We have to be very, very certain, otherwise it will be impossible to resolve this matter. Was it her fault, or the fault of her disease? It's impossible to determine that right now. To make sure, she has the right to receive treatment, and she's obligated to let herself be treated. Jiro-san. Take her to the Erie Institute so that she can be examined immediately. Notify Lieutenant Colonel Erie so he can prepare to treat Major Takano. However, from here on, the Major will be placed under strict observation, and all activities will be restricted. The particular orders should come from Command through Colonel Oka, Director of Investigations. The Bloodhounds conveyed all this information over the radio. Nobody had any objections. Their job was to arrest her, after all. Any interrogations or investigations after that were the job of investigations. So if those were the orders from investigations, then that was that. Tomitake walked over to the muddy figure of Takano. Jiro-san. Jiro-san. Well. Away. Takano buried her face in Tomitake's chest and cried. Only Tomitake and Takano knew the meaning of those tears. Sorry for being late. I'm here for you. Jiro-san, Jiro-san. Wahoo! You're not as bad as you think you are. You can start over. You can start your life over as Miyako Tanashi. I can't. I've committed too many sins. I shouldn't be allowed to start over. I should be dead. Otherwise, the way my sins will... Well, that's true. Your sins may not be so light. But don't worry. I'll be with you. We can atone together. Let's atone for Miyako Takano's sins. Let's bring back Miyako Tanashi together. Until then, I'll be right here with you. Can I continue to live? Can I live? Everyone tells me that if I die, things will work out. But can I still live? Are you saying that I'm allowed to live? Can I be forgiven? The world may not forgive you. But so what? I'll forgive you. So let's live. Death can't atone for sins. You must live and ask the world to forgive you, and then start your life over. Cat's back again. Then you'll remember. You'll remember what kind of person you used to be, what kind of smile you used to have. After a while, Takano was taken to the Erie Institute in handcuffs. She was, however, handcuffed with her hands in front of her. She was holding the scrapbook. Tomitake had cleaned the mud off of it. The downpour from the early afternoon had passed. The cicadas began singing again, reminding everything that this was a normal June in Hinamizawa. It was so hot despite being June, and the sky was brilliantly clear. Someone asked someone else the time. She looked at her watch. It was 3 p.m. The Watanagashi festival would be starting at 5. It was almost time. Even from there, the Furude Shrine could be seen. There were red lanterns hanging all over. Once the sun went down, those lanterns would be lit. It was almost time for the Watanagashi festival, and with that, everything would end. When the Higurashi cry. The game that stretched across different worlds had ended, and what the winner obtained after their victory is that the game ended without a loser. Hanyu was prepared to leave after the game was over, but she was still there. She was allowed to be there. In other words, she wasn't the card that was taken away. The card that was taken to play their game of Old Maid was no longer there. The breeze rustled Hanyu's sweaty, messed up hair. She was dumbfounded. Rika went over and stood next to her. She didn't need to say anything. She only smiled at Hanyu. That girl had pretended to be a bystander, but decided to step onto the stage. And then she thought that was enough, and tried to step off of it. With those memories of her bright time on stage, she tried to step off, but someone grabbed her sleeve and stopped her. She was told that she could stay. Then she realized she was still on the stage. She didn't have to leave after all. There was a spot for her on the stage, and she was no longer a bystander. And that was an unbelievable miracle. She didn't even exist in the script. Nobody needed her to be there. But the miracle had allowed her to stay. You suffered so much during your journey. This miracle isn't even enough to repay you for what you've gone through. Ipa? Whoa. This is more than enough. This miracle is more than enough. Rika smiled at Hanyu one more time and passed her what was in her right hand. Hanyu felt something cold and hard. What was it? Hanyu slowly opened her hand and looked at it. It was the bullet Takano had fired. This was the proof of their miracle. It was the proof that Hanyu could exist there. It was the proof that they could be together forever and ever. It'll be dark soon. It's time for the festival. Oh, we'll have so much fun together. You can't just watch us anymore. I'm sure there will be plenty of punishments to torment the poor newcomer. I don't have to just watch the Watanagashi festival, huh? That's right, because you don't watch a festival. You enjoy it. Were they testing the speakers? It was still bright outside, but there was music playing already. The cheap dubbed BGM collection of festival music could be heard from the Furude Shrine in the distance. It sounded so exciting to her. This was what she wanted to join in on all this time. Rika held her hand. Let's go together. Let's go to the Watanagashi festival. All of us, together. Yeah. Wonder how much more I have to read. This could end anywhere, honestly, after this point. They had almost too much energy left. It had been a long day, and many things had happened, but they still had the energy to go to the festival. It was, after all, the special day of Watanagashi. The curse of Oyashiro-sama had been lifted, and no tragedy would ever occur again. It was the first peaceful Watanagashi, the first one without a tragedy since the dam conflict. The villagers had noticed that the phone lines were disconnected during the day, but it was fixed so quickly that they didn't pay much attention. They heard the self-defense force helicopter near the mountains, but rumor had it that they came to the wrong place for their training. The elderly villagers laughed and said that the young men of the National Defense Force need to pay more attention. Some people say the self-defense force even came to the Irie clinic. The villagers didn't even get suspicious about that. They assumed that the area clinic had started doing physical checkups for the SDF. There were pieces of broken glass on the roadside near the village border, as if there was an accident. Some people wondered if anyone could have had an accident where there was no obstruction on the road. The elderly people said to each other that they always had to drive carefully, even on a familiar road. But it looked only like a trace of a normal accident, so they didn't get suspicious. The rest was a ghost story. The villagers heard an extra firework to signal the festival taking place. It wasn't an echo. The people in charge of the fireworks were puzzled, but when Rika said Oyasho-sama must have shot the extra firework, the villagers simply believed that was true. It was the night of Watanagashi, the biggest festival of the year. The villagers forgot their worries and enjoyed themselves. The club members were doing great as usual. Playing their games. Oh, Hanyu's in formal clothing too. I think we're still going through scenes at the moment. It's weird without the sound effects. They were doing so great that they were all taken to the main tent and yelled at by the mayor. That was a normal Watanagashi night for the villagers. But there was one thing that was very different. The girls fought for an unimaginably long time in many different worlds for the sake of this night. However, nobody would ever know that. Oh, there was another big change too. Rika Furude said that she wants to go to a pool in the summer. It's unusual for her to say she wants to do something. She wants to see the stars. She wants to go on a camping trip. She wants to look at the sunflowers. She wants to make the school into a haunted house, etc. There are so many things she wants to do over the summer break. Right. Rika Furude, for the first time, is making plans for after June 1983. Because this is the first summer break she's going to experience after 100 years of repeating the same life, she will now experience an all-new summer vacation. Who would stop her from getting excited about that? Rika Furude is looking forward to waking up before Satoko to rip the page off the calendar at the end of June. Rika Furude's infinite future had begun. There are infinite possibilities, yet she can only make one choice. But that's why it's a great world. Let's talk for a moment about the people who fought with Rika Furude. Mion Sonozaki has vowed to study hard so she can continue her education after the summer break. According to Keiichi, even that may not be enough time for her. However, how can the legendary club leader, Mion Sonozaki, fail an entrance exam? She will more than likely find a way to get into the school she wants to go to. Hopefully, it isn't an illegal one. Anyhow, she's looking forward to enjoying her final summer break, so she has tons of plans. The club members can't get away from Mion, even during the summer. Once you're involved with her, she'll always find a way to get at you. No matter how much you want to be alone, you'll never go back to spending a boring summer by yourself. Yay, nice epilogue. Keiichi's been asked by Mion and Chie to be their next class president. He was also asked to be the next club leader too, but he declined immediately. Keiichi likes the club because Mion runs it. He continued saying that it's Mion's club until she got mad. Keiichi can't understand why she's so angry. Well, Keiichi wouldn't be Keiichi if he wasn't dense. So things are rather lively around him again today. His good name continues to spread, even in Okunomiya. Ren Ryugu's growing more energetic every day too. Satoko, Rika, and Hanyu spend every day in fear of being abducted by her. Still, she's been acting more mature lately. She takes care of her younger classmates, and she's almost like a mother figure to the class. She's like a mother to all the club members too. After hearing that, Keiichi said that he'd be a father for the class. As usual, Rena thought about that too much and blushed. Satoko Hojo is as lively as ever. She used up most of her traps on the mountain during the battle with the mountain dogs, so she's setting up new ones for the next event. Rumor has it that some members of the Bloodhounds were so impressed with her trap techniques that they asked her for lessons. There's supposed to be a training area near Mount Fuji, and they asked her to set up her traps there. It's not a very good idea. The Sea of Trees really will become a forest of no return. Either way, Satoko keeps saying how she wants to fight against the Bloodhounds next. She's invincible. Also, she's become a great cook. That's because Hanyu has been teaching her. According to Hanyu, Satoko is a quick learner as compared to Rika. Satoko's dream is to master fried chicken, which is her brother's favorite, and welcome him home with it. I'm the only one who knows this, but her dream may come true very soon. As for her brother, Hojo Satoshi is yet to return home. His condition is unchanged. If there's been any change, it's in Shion Sonozaki. She goes to the clinic on her days off. Nobody knows why she goes there, but she seems to be very happy, so nobody pays much attention to it. Mion has teased Shion by saying that maybe she's planning on getting implants, but Shion just smiles. Also, for whatever reason, she's been visiting her relatives' clothes shops and buying up all kinds of men's clothing. Lately, she's even started buying more than just men's clothing, but why is she so excited when she visits the clinic with a maid outfit that's not in her size? The truth is shrouded in mystery. The biggest change is probably that Shion babies Satoko nowadays. She tries to make Satoko call her Nene, which only annoys Satoko. Eri Kyosuke has two jobs now. On one hand, he's a respected doctor, and on the other hand, he's an evangelist for maids. The area clinic was supposed to be closed, but the villagers pleaded with the authorities not to shut it down. While the area isn't originally from the village, he and everyone else feels that he is one of the villagers now. He's an indispensable part of village life. The conservative attitude toward Hinamizawa syndrome is gone, and now it's being researched very proactively. The syndrome is being researched so passionately that hopefully in the near future, all the victims of this disease will be freed for good. Also, later on, Eri will publish an advanced article about the influence of the brain on human behavior, which will surprise people in the medical world. I won't go into the details here, but it'll talk about how one should hate the sins instead of the sinner. The deceased Hifumi Takano and Mio Takano's names will be mentioned in that article. Jiro Tomitake still visits Hinamizawa every season. He's still known as the fighting traveling photographer, and he continues to walk around the village looking for good picture spots. However, he isn't seen in the village as much as before. His bicycle is always parked around the back of the clinic, so maybe he spends a lot of time there. Some villagers say maybe he's sick and being treated, but his bright smile proves they are wrong. Mio Takano hasn't been seen since that day. Nobody knows where she has gone, but obviously Tomitake isn't worried, so she must be fine. She'll probably show up one day out of nowhere and start telling ghost stories to scare some kids. As for Mamoru Akasaka, what happened to him was pretty funny. His wife and daughter followed him in secret. They pretended to run into him at the festival. What? Rika called him Papa, so things grew complicated all of a sudden. Akasaka's wife smiled, but she choked his neck with her braided hair. Her arms were folded, but her braid moved like a tail. Squeeze. She tortured a man who destroyed a special forces unit without even using a weapon. Rika continued to tease him, making the situation even worse. However, Akasaka's family liked Hinamizawa, and they said they wanted to come back. Akasaka's daughter and Rika grew so close that they seemed like sisters. Kurado Oishi has gotten back into playing mahjong. For whatever reason, Akane Sonozaki has joined his table too, and there's rumors a riot squad almost got dispatched to the mahjong parlor one time. His colleagues say Oishi has calmed down quite a bit. It's probably because he reached closer within himself, but his colleagues know nothing about that. He's planning to move to Hokkaido when he retires, but he wants to come back every summer. His bright second life is waiting for him. Tatsuyoshi Kasai hasn't changed much compared to the others. To some people, this was a life-changing event, but for Kasai, it was just another episode added to his tale of heroics. According to Kasai, this incident was just a little bigger than usual. If this was just a little unusual, then what in the world would we need to impress him? Shion insists that he'll tell her, but Kasai only tells her that that's a secret. Also, he regretted exposing that part of his past. Shion keeps begging him to tell her all about it, but he simply ignores her. Let me talk about myself too. I, Hanyu, am doing great in my new life as Hanyu Furude. I'm finally getting better at playing games, and now I'm taking the role of the club's dark horse, a position formerly reserved for Keiichi Maibara. I have a bad habit of believing everything I hear, so me and the others always tell me some strange things. Thanks to that, I'm getting tougher, to put it in a good way. Shrewd, to put it in a bad one. But then, I need to, otherwise I wouldn't survive in this club. I'm going to continue to learn a lot of stuff through these club activities so I can live in this human world. Sunday, June 19th, 1983. Night falls on my longest day of the past 1,000 years. Festival. The club members are having a blast. A lot of people are here. The stall vendors are still doing business. The speakers are playing rough yet exciting festival music. I've known all of these, but how wonderful it is to actually feel and hear them in person. I thought I knew because I've been following and watching them, but that was completely different. I knew of it, but this is the first time I've actually experienced it. We had a takoyaki eating contest. There was no octopus in it, but it was still very tasty. We had a shaved ice eating contest. I would have enjoyed the shaved ice if I had eaten it more slowly. I bought a candied apple for the first time. Everyone took a bite from it. It was tasty, and it was fun. We played a shooting game. I didn't know how difficult it would be to shoot a target, but it was fun too. Also, we played a shady lottery game. It was one of those things where you pulled a string and got a prize. Nobody got a good prize. We all complained about it to the vendor. That too was just so much fun. Then it was time for the dedication dance. Of course, we go there early, so we commandeer the best seats. I snuck out and stood where I was told to. I could see better than the other club members. This was the spot where the object of worship sat. This was where I was supposed to be during the ritual dance. No, this was where I thought I had to be. But seeing the dance from that spot wasn't fun. Therefore, I returned to where I was, and sat with everyone else. They saved me a spot. Everyone rubbed my head while asking me where I went. I apologized by saying, "Oh, whoa." That made me very happy. I watched the performance in the crowd of people. It was the best dance I've witnessed in the past 1,000 years. I couldn't keep either my happiness or my tears from flowing out. After the dance was over, a handful of cotton was passed around to all the villagers. We let the cotton absorb all the filth and the sins of the past year and washed it down the stream. Cotton is cotton. Obviously, it's not human. We use cotton instead of a human so that nobody is sad. In other words, this is the way to purify sins without making anyone suffer. Here you are. This was for you, Hanyu-chan. Do you know how to do it? Yes, I do. I go like this and drift it down the stream, right? Oh. The girl who gave me the cotton took the letter I from her name during last year's Watanagashi and washed it down the stream. By doing so, she was freed from her suffering and began a new life. We drifted our sins down the stream. It's not the same as pushing our sins onto the cotton. Instead, we wash away our own sins and forgive ourselves. We forgive each other, we help each other, and that's how we create our own story. I put my cotton in the stream gently. The cotton went down the stream, into the world where sins are cleansed. I let my bare feet soak in the clear stream as I watched the long, long line of cotton flowing down stream in the dark, surrounded by people sending their cotton flowing down the wondrous stream. This is a complete world where all the fragments were put together. This is an ideal world. What else is there? What else do you need? Hanyu Furude still wants more. Because we can be even happier than this. We can be happier if we wish to be. Not a long time from now, but in the near future. Then when is it? I told you, it's in the near future. We'll be happy then too. See? Title. Everyone is entitled to happiness. I too. Oh, it's that same poem. So I wonder what else is left after this. Oh, because from now on I'm going to live a much happier life. I'm not going to compromise with justice. We'll achieve something. What? A report on the coup d'etat of the Erie Institute proposal. Regarding the coup d'etat, one of the responsibilities of the Institute was the administration of Manual 34. Certain personnel, however, conspired to execute it under false circumstances and accepted bribes for it. Takano and Okunogi were there. Response? Authorities were detained immediately. Workers all surrendered. Regarding the commissioned ones. However, due to his responsibility as supervisor, he was handed over to the disciplinary. Takano? What? They're continuing to investigate her. Okunogi? They said there remain many suspicious elements in his background. What? It'll conclude in 3 years. Some members of the inquiry raised concerns about the management. It is the writer's personal opinion that we should consider. Is this acceptable? If I may obtain your approval, I will report to your residence tomorrow evening. No more. Kokara izuno ryu no nanode. Omoshiroi koto wa kaite arimasen. Toji wa imai ejo ni seppatsumata joku. Oh. Oh, these are all messages. I can't translate all these. Wondering what this song is that's playing in the background. Let me think. Higurashi Chapter 8, the lead song. People talking about modding this earlier this year because the soundtrack was changed so much, I guess. I can't find it, sadly. Just people asking what to do now. That's hilarious. Oh, that's some scratching. The tips. And then finally, I assume it's the talk from Ryukishi. Boing. Oh, one tip. Onigari no Jiyuo. Hmm. Alright, let's see. Extra. Let's do the tip. The whole one tip. The forbidden treasure, Onigari no Ryuo. It's the most valuable asset of the Furude Shrine that's kept in the ritual storehouse. In ancient times, when this place was a chaotic world of both humans and demons, this precious sword defeated the demon god. However, nobody has seen it for 1,000 years. According to the legend, it's sealed in the statue dedicated to Oyasho-sama in the ritual storehouse. Because of its structure, as long as the belief in Oyasho-sama continues, it will remain a forbidden tool, forever sealed away. Also, it's only mentioned in the forbidden scrolls of the Furude Shrine. Therefore, only a handful of the Furude family heads have ever known about its existence. According to several of these forbidden scrolls, the sword is shaped like a willow branch. There are some ink paintings of the sword made by a few Furude heads, but none of them match that description. That means they drew those pictures from their imagination. The legends say there was a girl named Oka who received a divine message that commanded her to defeat the demon god. However, neither the swords of humans or demons could conquer the demon god. It would require a blade that was neither a human sword nor a demon sword. Only a sword that mixes human and demon qualities could defeat the demon god. It has been repeatedly said that the ancestor of humans Oka Furude is said to be the first person whose blood was mixed in that way. This description is what conveys that. Heaven gave Oka a precious sword. The precious sword was shaped like a willow branch. Its tips split 3 ways, which symbolized heaven, earth, and people in unity. It also symbolizes the harmony between heaven, demons, and humans. Oka headed to the swamp where the demon god hid, and defeated him with this treasured sword. Each forbidden scroll describes how she defeated the demon god differently. Some say she disciplined him, some say he ran away, some say he surrendered. What happened afterwards is unclear too. The oldest scroll says the precious sword destroyed the demon god's horn, while other books don't mention that. The precious sword that defeated the demon god was then enshrined, and was named Onigari no Ryuo. Oka sealed this precious sword in the deepest place of the shrine to hide its existence forever. Even if it was created to slay the demon god, the sword didn't belong in this world anymore, and shouldn't exist on the face of the earth. Some said that was why it was removed from the human world. But some said Oka was the daughter of the demon god, and that she wanted to banish the sword that killed her mother. The ancient cult of Oyasho-sama suggested Oyasho-sama was this demon god, the source of chaos, the source of all that was evil, and the source of all friction. To prevent the demon god from returning to the human world through worship and comfort is the root of that ancient cult. This may be a type of cult devoted to an evil god. This idea that it's not worship for protection, but to stave off a curse, links slightly to the modern worship of Oyasho-sama, but seems slightly distant from the modern worship that asks for Oyasho-sama's blessings and sees them as a god of marriage and good relationships. It fosters the argument that humans are good by nature, saying that all discord is the work of Oyasho-sama, and there are no demons in the world of man. After that, the legends continue on to what we know today, the harmony of humans and demons. But in this era, all the scrolls on the origin of belief in Oyasho-sama and the scrolls of the matriarchs of the Furude family have been sealed due to being forbidden. That happened probably because the new image of Oyasho-sama, that of a loving and affectionate god, and the ancient image of Oyasho-sama, the source of all evil, didn't match. It became too difficult to explain the faith's doctrine. Also, if one believes the forbidden scrolls, the Furude family was descended from the one who killed her own mother. That would mean their blood was cursed. If all of that is true, then today's faith is very different from the one that was started by the matriarch. One of the leaders of the Furuta family from hundreds of years ago wrote this: "The Onigari no Ryuo, the legendary precious sword, is a symbol of both the Furuta family and the sins of the human world. It was an era where people pushed the source of their evil onto others, and could only purify their sins by killing one another. The matriarch took in the root of all evil herself, and let her child murder her. That was how this place was freed from the chaos." The matriarch usually means Oka Furude, but sometimes it means her mother. The notion that the matriarch was the demon god was taboo among the Furude family. However, obviously some leaders interpreted it that way. When the Furude family or when the world of man commits the foolish act of seeking to blame others and tries to return to the world of demons, that is when faith will disappear, and the statue's head will shatter. That's when the Onigari no Ryuo will reappear to us. The second coming will once again revive the memory of the Furude family's forgotten sins. Is the demon god a fictional legend, or someone who actually existed? In some rare cases, babies were born with horns, and they were called children of the demon god. Descendants of the Furude family who will read this. The myths passed down by our forbidden scrolls are numerous, and their content vastly differs. But don't get caught up in the smoke. No matter how different all these scrolls are, there is one thing they all want to convey. Search the heart of Oka Furude, the one who sealed the Onigari no Ryuo forever. That is the fate that all the Furude family leaders must understand. Something that never comes to play in the story whatsoever. Except that Hanyu might have been like the mother of the clan and whatnot. Yeah, we got all the tips. All one of them. Staff room. Hello, this is Ryukishi07. Thank you for playing Matsuri Bayashi. No. Thank you very much for playing Higurashi When They Cry. Until the end. Matsuri Bayashi is, in a way, the solution episode for the situation with Takuno and the kids starting from halfway through Minagoshi. How can they defeat Takuno's conspiracy? How can they reach their ideal ending? I wrote this episode as the duel between you, the reader, and me, the writer. So if you think you create a better resolution world than my Matsuri Bayashi, that means you defeat Ryukishi in this duel. I, Ryukishi, have provided two resolutions. One is how to fight against Takuno. First, here is a hint from the Minagoshi chapter. You find out about Takuno's conspiracy, which relies on her manual. Next, here are hints from the Watanagashi and Mayakashi ones, which was 2 and 5. It's been 48 hours after Rika's death, yet the village is peaceful. Oh, was it? Oh yeah. Obviously the basis of it isn't true. I didn't notice that. Because in the first world, the game just ends because Keiichi dies. In the second one, we have her surviving well past it. And it's possible to prevent the final operation. In the Matsuri Bayashi chapter, I wrote about an attacking side and defending side like a novel. If I were to simply write about the resolution, all I had to write was for Oishi to announce that Rika died at least 48 hours ago, and Takuno's conspiracy would fall apart once the news reached Tokyo. This was an easy resolution, like a puzzle, so I'm sure many of you got this right. The other resolution was the ideal ending for this world. To answer this, I have to explain the worldview of the story first. There's hints all over, but the crucial ones are in Tatarigoshi and Minagoshi. I believe that's 3 and 7? Satsuko's uncle, yep. How can she be rescued? Everyone works together, right? If the story was an exercise in murder, Tatarigoshi is right. Keiichi kills Teppei and hides his body well. There's a happy ending. But I didn't end the episode that way. Instead, I denied it with a bad ending. The resolution the worldview of Higurashi When They Cry advocates is a non-violent one, with everyone united together. That's established in question chapters such as Onikakushi, Watanagashi, and Tatarigoshi. In those worlds, when someone becomes suspicious about everything and worries about it alone, things get worse and that leads to tragedy. The Mayakashi chapter is the sublimation of that situation, chapter 5. On the other hand, when one talks to their friends, it's revealed that the causes of the tragedies... Oh no, wait. Is Mayakashi chapter 5? I think it is. Oh yeah, it is. That's indicated in Sumi Horoboshi, Minagroshi 6 and 7. In other words, can you see that in the world of Higurashi? Anything can be overcome when people talk to each other and help one another. Fortunately, that doesn't happen in reality. Helping each other creates friction, and oftentimes working alone is a lot simpler. However, we can always hope that we can connect with other people and understand each other, so that we can face any difficulty. In that sense, this world is a fantasy. That's right. In the worlds of Higurashi, there is one magical rule. That is to talk to others and accept help from them. Then you can defeat anything. With that, it's possible to make a miracle happen. If that could be cast into an absolute rule, it would be a sort of magical, systematic miracle. Just like what Hanyu and her friends said in the story. That is the world view of Higurashi. I bet the first thing you'll think about is an ending where all the club members unite and defeat Takano. Actually, there's scenes in the Matsuri Bayashi chapter that affirm that sort of ending. However, at the same time, she's a lonely person. So, resolution defeats her and makes her into a sacrifice. It's happy except for Takano. It's a very popular style of story for the protagonist to unite together and to sacrifice the antagonists. Aliens come to invade the Earth, so the world unites and defeats the aliens. Hooray for humans, and we must all get along. Very popular. Stories that use aliens, devils, and monsters as clear bad guys and make them into sacrifices. Two parties fighting with each other become allies once the third party shows up. Storylines like those are indeed exciting. By adding sacrifice, differing parties unite and become allies. To create this situation, there has to always be the third party, the sacrifice, as well. Sure, many of those who created that must have already noticed that. We always add a third one that can't possibly unite with us. To make up with each other, we try to find a common enemy. In reality, this world only belongs to humans. According to that logic, the Higurashi chapter isn't the best resolution for the problems that surround Satsuko either. Because her uncle is forced out, basically. He's the sacrifice. 4.5 years working on all this. What kind of work? Umineko. And I forget if I have another game, a Higurashi game that is. I could have sworn I still have one more. Let me pull up my library real quick before we end for this afternoon. Go up, Higurashi, When They Cry, Ray. So I have one more still to do. So that'll be it for today. We finally finished the main story of Higurashi as far as I can tell. There's still 2 more games though. And next stream will be tonight around probably 9:15 EST, where we will be playing one more thing of Lethal Company before we start using mods, I'd say. Hope to see you then. Bye-bye.